Test, test. Hey, how's it going? Why is it like this? I have no idea. Uh, okay. All right, there we go. I don't know what that was about, but hope everyone's doing well. Let me just fix some things here. Just give me a second. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, much better. Okay. Yeah, so how's everyone doing? Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hope everyone's doing well. Also, this is our regular time going forward. It's Monday and Thursday, 7 p.m. till whenever. So for those who don't know, this is appointment viewing going forward. Also, yeah, for people who wait for the announcement or, the pre-announcement, just be ready to hop on at 7, because sometimes I don't get time to. It's not my full-time thing, so sometimes I don't get time to do the whole make a thumbnail the day before. Like a lot of channels make a thumbnail the day before, sometimes days before, and announce something's coming. We're gonna try to do that, but we can't always do it. So even if you don't see the announcement or whatever, just assume Monday, Thursday, 7 p.m. We'll be here. Sometimes it'll be for longer, sometimes it'll be for shorter, but we'll be here. And yeah, some people are starting to come in. I'm not going to wait for everyone to come in before we start. I'll just get with it. Well, first of all, go to patreon.com/champagne sharks to become a member, $5 a month or $10 a month, or you can do a year and get a discount. Do a year at once. That's all very appreciated. You'll get different content than what you get on here. Here is like reactions. On the podcast, you'll get our deep dives onto all types of topics. We're going to start having guests again, writers and thinkers and different types like that. So look forward to that. And yeah, there's a lot of content that you don't get on here, like just full-blown podcast deep dives where we get a little deeper on topics, and we can also talk about stuff that would violate copyright if we did it here. So we did a pretty good track by track J. Cole review. We're also going to continue our series where we go through Drake's whole catalog and try to figure out like what was Drake, like why did this anomalous guy, this light-skinned Jewish kid from Canada, dominate rap for 15 years. And we try to put together, going through his stuff two at a time, like try to figure out what it was. So we covered the first two mixtapes. Next up is the third mixtape and the first legit album. So yeah, definitely check that out. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, just hit subscribe. Why not? What's it gonna kill you to subscribe? Also share it, like, if you think there's other people who need to watch this, if you think they're gonna hate it, even send it to them. Like, fuck it, it's all good. But again, come in and like. And anyway, here we go. Like, what I want to talk about today is for the past couple of years, I have watched anti-woke content. A lot of anti-woke content was hilarious. Like, I suspect a lot of these people probably have problematic views. A lot of them are probably racist, sexist, whatever. But there was such a chokehold that wokeness had on the mainstream thought that you kind of had to go there to get an honest take on the woke stuff. And the woke stuff was so bad that they didn't have to be bad faith to bash it. Like, you just had to be honest. So, and it made them look like way smarter than they were. Like, I didn't like all of them. Like, some of them, like, the guy Geeks and Gamers, and there's another one called what's his name, Ryan Kinnell. Like they're pretty. Josiah Rises. Like those guys are pretty not very talented to me. Like, and on top of that, the Geeks and Gamers and Josiah Rises guys, not Josiah, Geeks and Gamers and Ryan Kinnell were clearly like racist twerps. Like they were clearly super racist. Like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the other ones were racist too, and they give hints of it, but they weren't as bad as like those two. A lot of gratuitous like George Floyd jokes. And the thing that's weird about conservatives, for some reason, they're consuming this idea that black people worship or lionize George Floyd as if you have to personally like someone or think they're a moral paragon or think they're a role model to think that no one should get their neck kneeled on for 9 minutes. It's very ridiculous. There's such bootlickers to authority, except when it's time to put on a mask. They're just like the weirdest bunch of people. Yeah, but the stuff coming out was so awful. It was like fun to watch them bash it and pick it apart, and they would do good takedowns because honestly, like you don't really have to be that smart to do a good takedown of that stuff. You just have to be smarter than the people making the woke stuff, and it didn't seem to be that hard. The stuff was terrible. Like Star Wars, which Star Wars? The Kenobi one. That was god awful. She-Hulk, like so much of it was just so funny. It was like sport trashing. Like it was just pretty hilarious stuff. But the thing that's become more and more obvious to me is I don't know if they were always this bad or if years of being in this reactionary space has, like iron sharpens iron. And I wonder if having just really terrible foes, whatever the opposite of iron softening iron, like shit softens shit. I don't know. But they've just been like, wokeness is like a virus where I'm not gonna say it's dead, it's not dead. At any sign of weakness, it keeps rearing its head again whenever it gets a chance. But the immune system against it is kind of strong right now, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not like it was like in 2020 during the pandemic. There was like just really bad woke shows 24/7. There were so many of them. They're just spamming us with them, and there was so much fun content and discourse, like trashing it. And the culture warriors themselves, the woke people, were very engaged and ready to just do ridiculous videos and articles and shilling panels, like shill for the worst stuff, which just made you just want to see the opposite, like even more. Like it was, but their heart's not in it anymore. They've been totally demoralized and defeated. Like they're very half-assed. They don't really have a headquarters anymore. Some of them on Threads, some of them are on what's that other one? Blue Sky. They're not. There's not that much content. They've been cutting DEI left and right. We predicted it years ago. You can see our video about it. It's been like, I can't really think of the last like egregiously woke show. I mean, there's been some here and there, but like a high profile, egregiously woke show, I can't really think of one. It's I'm not gonna say like the art is great now, but compared to what was coming out during that period, it's not that bad. I mean, it's not good, but it's not as bad as that. That was like something else. I mean, they were just hiring anybody who had the right demographics and whatever. If you like worked on the episode of Rick and Morty, they would just hire you. They didn't care. Like didn't care about anything. They were just hiring people with no credits. Just write this for the Twitter audience, But like that's gone. I can't really think of much. There was like one kind of woke show that's making the rounds now. That's an example of like how, Never Totally Dies. it's like a virus that keeps coming back when the immune system's weak, is that new Star Trek show. There's a new Star Trek show that looks like a CW show, and it looks really bad from what I could tell. But what's interesting about it is like that's the one thing they've had like in months. They keep trying to force other things sometimes, but it doesn't really work because the stuff isn't that bad or woke anymore. So this new Star Wars show is kind of like the exception that proves the rule. The fact that it's the only thing that came around in a while. Like before, everyone didn't have time to do videos on all of it. Like people would like break it up. Like one person might be covering Batgirl for uh 24 weeks. Like that's their beat. And this person's doing the Acolyte, and this person's doing this, and then some things everybody was doing. But it was just way too much. And now it's like everybody is picking on the same thing, which is the new Star Trek show. Star Trek Academy, I think it's called. Because there's just not that much to uh bash anymore. One person's beat might have been Doctor Who, and so it's a thin field out there. But something that's interesting is, um, again, I don't know if these people are always just i- dullards or had really bad taste and imagination, or if years of like steeping their brains in this stuff to bash it kind of ruin their own taste. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of stopped hate watching for content and stuff like that, is because the act of consuming crappy content was starting to ruin my brain and taste. Like I would find myself giving stuff a pass just because it didn't suck, or I would just watching something, even ironically, you get kind of acclimated to it. It's not the best thing to do. We had that show Media Masochist, the call-in show, and we were just watching like just shitty content to talk about it every week, and it would get a lot of engagement, but it was even to bash it, fucks with your head somehow. Like it ruins your taste, it ruins your ability. Like if you were trying to like do a health documentary about McDonald's and uh cheap bad fast food, and you're eating it all the time to kind of make the point, even if you're doing it knowingly and ironically or to prove something, it's still going to stay affecting your taste buds. It's still going to eventually ruin your ability to enjoy. Yeah, Starfleet Academy. No, Andor is an example of one that shows that I think the wokeness is kind of past. Because from what I heard, Andor wasn't too heavy on the wokeness. But that's what I mean. Like they're running out of stuff. There was like a cornucopia, like a all you can eat buffet of crap to trash. And like one of the problems, right, with that, well, first off, reacting forever, I think, gets old. But at some point, because this is more than just a reviewing job to them, it's a culture war, and it's us versus them. You have to either champion things, you either have to champion things, or you have to create things as an answer. And they've been kind of doing both. And I've just noticed whenever they champion something, it's just the most terrible stuff. And when they create stuff, it seems to be terrible too. And I used to think, because I hated the same shows that they hate, that I thought these people like the stuff that I like. But I'm starting to realize that the stuff that they like or want is almost as crappy as the woke stuff. It's just for their side. Like they've I think they used to like the good stuff that the woke stuff went against, but they liked the good stuff for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense. They didn't like the good stuff because of um the universality or the craft or whatever. They like the good stuff for because it's just IP. It has a name of this thing I liked when I was a kid, and I'm happy to swallow up slop. I just don't want the slop to be woke. And I don't want it to not have the superficial things I like. I want it to have action. I want it to have the character I grew up liking. But as long as it has those superficial trappings, I'm fine with it being crap. Um, I just don't want your crap, you know? And they're very astute. Like I will say, sometimes they get bad faith, go bad faith, especially for some of this more middle of the road, mediocre woke stuff. But during the peak of bad woke, they were pretty good faith critics because the stuff is so bad, you don't really have to be bad faith. But now that it's kind of medium bad or just medium, they're getting increasingly bad faith. Like I haven't watched them in a long time, but when I saw them, they were getting increasingly bad faith, you know. And yeah, I didn't see this, but I heard that Andor was a legitimately good show, and that's funny that the Geeks and Gamers racist had to apologize to the audience for trashing it. Yeah, that's the thing with these guys too. Like they reached a point where they were so audience captured that a lot of times they wouldn't even share an opinion until they knew what the audience, or at least were confident what the audience would think. So some things are so obviously trash. They knew their audience was gonna love it. I mean, gonna love them trashing it, but they've made some bad calls. There's some stuff that was like mediocre or even good, but they were like, it's got a minority in it, so maybe our audience will hate it. So then they started like, like for example, another one was that guy Ryan Kindle in the Batman. He was complaining because they had positive representation of black people, and then they made Police Commissioner Gordon black and someone else black. So he went to complain about it, and then like a lot of people just kind of laughed him off. Like, who cares? Like, it's not really interfering with the story. And it's not heavy-handed, And he kind of struggled with that one. But yeah, it's like I'm noticing more and more of them are producing their own work, which I credit them for being brave. Like it is brave to put your money where your mouth is and try to create something better. I don't think as a critic you have to be a creator in order to critique creations, but I do admire critics who do try to create, for sure. But yeah, like that critical drinker guy, like when he picks stuff that he likes, it's like so bad to me a lot of the times. And like he liked everything everywhere all at once, and like his main reason for liking it was just another piece of multiverse slop. With that twee millennial Disney Channelist kind of writing that like millennials do. And his main reason for liking it basically was just that, you know, it was Asian characters not taking over white roles and, stealing white characters. And it was an original story that they made for themselves instead of taking like other stories. And it wasn't like overtly woke and stuff. And I was just like, is that the only thing you need to like something? Like, I agree that the things that you don't like so far have been pretty bad. This is during the era when all this stuff was pretty bad, but like the stuff he would like would just be to make a statement against the stuff that he didn't like, and then on top of that, as there are more borderline cases, you would see that if he couldn't really get a good read exactly on what the audience is going to think, he'd kind of waffle, or he'd do a bad critique. Like if it wasn't an easy target, he wasn't really good at taking it down, and sometimes it felt like he was trying to feel the audience out. There was another guy, Film Threat. That guy is also awful. That guy is like, even when the woke stuff was really bad, he would occasionally come out and just like really. This guy's name is Chris Gore or something. He'd like some of the worst, corniest crap, like that. I think he liked like Thor: Love and Thunder, stuff that was like really bad. And then he'd show up with the other guys, and they'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about? This is crap," And then he would like kind of apologize or change his opinion, So yeah, a lot of them were just terrible. Yeah. I heard this. I didn't experience it for myself, but I heard his books and his movies are pretty bad. Yeah, it's kind of just like masturbatory, tough guy stuff, like some perfect tough guy. And I think it's kind of the problem with these guys, right? Like they would get mad at a lot of these woke creators for doing stuff that was just there to exist or to bash straight white men and stuff. And like they take over IP that involve a straight white man and have like a woman or person of color, a woman of color or queer person or whatever, just take the piss out of them all the time and make them look incompetent, at the new diverse characters' expense, and yeah, that was true. Like it did get kind of tired to me of like, why are you taking this IP and this character that you didn't create that's white and straight with a built-in audience, and then using this character to do your agenda and try to antagonize the fans of this property and work out the weird chip on your shoulder you have with straight white men or with certain type of white woman or Karens or whatever. Like I did agree with that, but the problem was their idea of a good thing was something where the white guy is just perfect and infallible, nothing ever bad uh, happens to them, and everybody loves them. Like they wanted the same self-insert, self-flattering crap that the woke people wanted just for themselves. And I don't know if they were always that way or if they just got so tired of the agenda that they became consumed with revenge. You know what I mean? Um, well, okay, when it comes to this, right? The streaming era, the point of it was to get more subscribers to the streaming network. So they dump stuff all at once. It didn't really matter. They were all getting like 0% interest money. Money was cheap and plentiful, and they were all going for growth, not profit. So they were spamming like crazy. And then when the business model wasn't working, then they started worrying more about ratings and not just growth. And if you notice, they started doing weekly shows. Like Stranger Things became weekly. A lot of things became weekly. So now it's a different application. Now, if a show comes out and it just dumps all at once, now that means that they don't have confidence in it. They made it before, presumably during the spam era, the slop era, and right now they just want to unload it and get past it. So there was a show called Ironheart and a show called Wonder Man, and I didn't see either of them, but I heard that Marvel didn't have much faith in them. They were barely advertised, and they just dumped all the episodes at once. That's what that's what it means now. Before, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing when you dropped the whole thing at once. It didn't mean, hey, we don't trust this show. But they realized a couple of things. The economics of it all changed. The goals changed. Uh, the streaming system that they did to try to compete with Netflix tanked a lot of studios and put them in a bad place. So but they were pot committed. They had to like stick to it. Um, they stopped focusing on growth at all costs and spamming, and they started trying to be cost conscious. And they made less shows, and then they realized like people weren't getting that excited about the shows because you would watch them all at once, and there was no water cooler stuff. There was nothing happening to kind of create hype or buzz as the weeks went on. So that's why they've all changed to weekly, but they'll still occasionally do an all at once drop if they think the thing is just going to be crap. Sometimes they might break it up and do like 2 drops. That's nothing they do sometimes, but yeah, for the most part, they don't really do that all at once thing like they used to, from what I understand. What else? Yeah, so I'm gonna give some examples of that today. But first, I'm gonna play what I think is a good video, and then I'm gonna play some things that I've seen some of these like right-wing reactionary places doing that just makes me realize like, okay, you guys just want to do the same nanny boo boo, stick my tongue out, kiss my own ass in art stuff that the wokes were doing, just for you against them. It's like two wrongs make a right. So first video. This channel called Hold My DualShock. I don't know if they're new or just new to me. They don't have a huge follower count when I discovered them, but they're doing pretty good. I think they're gonna have a big one soon. So it's called Hold My DualShock is the name of this. Let me double check and make sure the sound is on this. Okay, yeah, the sound is on. So there was this terrible Brad Pitt versus Tom Cruise video that all these people online were crying about. They were going crazy. Like, this is crying in a good way. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Hollywood is over, etc. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, it does look more like people than anything else I've seen from AI. But the way they're moving is so bad. Like, it's not good fight choreography at all. And these guys talk about it. And what they say is something that if you're a longtime listener of the show, particularly the podcast, rather than the streaming, anyone who watches this stream on YouTube, not downing what we do on YouTube, I think it's very good, but I still think the podcast is better. We get to go way more in depth on that, and you really should be listening to the podcast. Anywhere that podcasts are found, look for Champagne Sharks. Go to patreon.com/Champagne Sharks and become a member and get all the podcasts, not just the free ones. But those listeners of our podcast will know a lot of the arguments we make and made. And one of the arguments we made is that with writing, with art, with a lot of things, they had spent years dumbing down different genres and media so that the AI doesn't have to be that good, because humans met it halfway. Like, if you look at what passes for writing in the BuzzFeed era, an AI today can overshoot a BuzzFeed writer like nothing. Like, I think I'd rather read an AI than a BuzzFeed. I mean, they're human AI basically. A lot of things have been reduced to basically human artificial intelligence, so that, like, people have trained themselves to operate like bots, and a lot of people were okay with it, with not aiming for excellence, with letting themselves become botified and phoning in, like, these easy, cliche, dumbed down articles, because they thought they found a cheat code. Like, oh man, this is when all these places were flush with money, and they were hiring people to do endless repetitive think pieces about Twitter threads and stuff like that. They thought they found a cheat code, and they get to, like, phone it in, write half-ass articles, TV shows, movies, create half-ass things, and it's like endless money, and that feeling went into them going into the writer's strike. You had people like the writer from She-Hulk being like, yeah, I worked in She-Hulk and I only made this amount of money and I deserve more because She-Hulk, did so such and such in views. And it's like, this guy's episode was She-Hulk versus Charlie Cox Daredevil. And Charlie Cox, the actor's version of Daredevil, was very beloved and had been off the screen for years. So people tuned into that to see Charlie Cox return as Daredevil. And his first, like, appearance as Daredevil in the modern MCU. They didn't tune in because, oh my God, this guy's writing it, I got to see it, and it wasn't like when they tuned in for the IP, they were won over by the writing. They were like, "Hey, I just came because Daredevil was here," but the writing was, oh my god, it was better than that. Than I dared dream hope. I dared hope or dream. No, most of them were like, "Wow, that was pretty bad." I mean, I guess it was good to see Charlie Cox, but not with that writing. That was a piece of crap. But it was like they really thought they found a cheat code and that they were getting away with this because they were the stars of the show, and no, you weren't. You worked for cheap and you help dumb things down and you're easy to influence because like legitimately talented people with strong visions are a nightmare to these corporations and they can just throw you a few diversity bones. They can throw you a few, hey, you can throw in a bunch of your self-indulgent, crap from Twitter and from Tumblr and your social politics and stuff like that. Just do these 5 things we want you to do and to set up the next franchise. And, they'll happily do it. They're very pliable. That's basically it. Um, yeah, but we've been saying for a while that these people work themselves out of work because they made the work crappier and they thought they were getting over by doing it. They made the work crappier, but they also made themselves more expensive to hire. Because by making it crappier, they're making it more replaceable. They're making themselves more replaceable. First by other people off Twitter. Like, if for some reason they had a problem with you, they could just find someone else who emotionally browbeats white liberals all day on Twitter who thinks they're a writer and just put them in the writer's room. Like what you reduce by making everything so cookie cutter, paint by woke numbers, you made yourself replaceable by other people of your ilk because you're all interchangeable writers. There's anything one of these people's writes might as well be written by anyone else. They're all like the same person. But on top of that, you made it easy to be replaced by AI. Like AI is actually like overqualified to imitate you. And then at the same time you were doing that, because it was the era of like cheap money and everyone chasing perpetual growth, and there was an unprecedented amount of content being produced, you got cocky, made yourself more expensive to hire at like the worst time when that bubble was popping. So yeah, it's pretty bad for them. So now they're all crying about AI, but they're crying about AI for the wrong reasons. Like one thing I've noticed is that the liberals and the woke people, they kind of worship and venerate like a lot of these creators, not because they're a very cultivated audience that likes good art. It's more like cheerleading and parasocial. Like a lot of them aspire to be writers themselves, or at least live through writers that remind them of themselves. Like these writers advocate for the causes I like. They have the type of voice I have on Twitter. They have my sensibilities. I'm rooting for them to win. Um, like I don't even really care that much about this existing IP. I'm only jumping on this IP because our side has hijacked it, and I'm really rooting. Like I don't have any deep thoughts about Star Wars, Star Trek, or any of this stuff until the kind of woke people I like on social media started writing this and making it in my image. And I like these writers for that. And they, because they either want to be a writer or they identify with these writers, they're against the AI because they want art to be sacred and they they want this never-ending world of LA and New York being these places where, hip young people can break into the arts and feel like they're part of show business and things like that. And they want someone to keep the seat warm for them for when it's their turn. Like a lot of these people harbor dreams of breaking into entertainment. But I mean, they're against the right thing. Like you should be against AI, but I think they're against AI because of they've made the writer. I think the writer is like the troops. You know what the troops are to the right. Like the right like venerates and worships the troops. Like uh, artists and working artists and writers and journalists who are liberal are like the troops to white liberals. Like and that's the reason why um I think that crowd is against AI because they just like the people and what the people represent and what the role of writer or creator or artist means for their future because they dream of being that one day too. But they don't really care about the actual IP and the characters and high quality and stuff like that. What's interesting is the reactionaries are different. They don't care about quality either, but they don't like the people writing the stuff. Uh, the liberals don't really like the IP because the original IPs of a lot of this stuff is, and by IP, I'm even including like biographies, like even biopics and historical epics, like the Odyssey and the Iliad or whatever. They just view that as factual IP. Like IP brain is everything now. Um, so they'll do a biopic and change the races of people and whatever. Like what the liberals slash wokes do is they don't respect the IP or history or the historical figures or anything. They just like the people involved and the issues involved, and they like the people and the issues involved because they narcissistically remind them of themselves and what they care about. So like, hey, I want to see this popular video game show, The Witcher, but done in my image. I want to see this done in my image. And they want the IP just because it has the most eyeballs. Like they're like, hey, if I just make a show about, a bunch of people who look like me living in Bushwick or something, and I don't attach it to IP, no one's gonna and I write as badly as I do, no one's gonna care. But if I attach myself to a host of a very popular host, being a parasite, if I attach myself to it, I don't really care about it, but it has built-in eyeballs. Like a certain amount of people will always watch Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever, because they're in love with the IP. So I can force myself on people. The conservatives are the opposite. The conservatives, they don't care about people. Like they're both elected, they don't care about craft really, right? The reactionary doesn't care about craft that much. The liberal doesn't care about craft that much, but the liberal at least likes the idea of art and an artist, even if they like it for the wrong reasons. Like it's all parasocial bullshit for them. Like for example, when Breonna Joy Gray was attacking one battle after another, all these white liberals came out to defend it and attack her. So technically, these people love art, technically, but none of them could defend it on its merits. They just called her names. They kept asking non sequiturs like, "Where's Virgil?" They insulted her, everything about her. They said she was too dumb to understand it. But none of them could actually articulate. But what it is they like the idea of Paul Thomas Anderson. He somehow is their champion. Like he is from their milieu. He maybe is part of their nostalgic memories. The same way like Indiana Jones is part of Nerdrotic's childhood, his nostalgia. Paul Thomas Anderson, to like someone who fancies himself a film snob, is part of his nostalgia, but he doesn't think any deeper about art house movies than these chuds think about Marvel movies. It's just their favorite character or favorite whatever. It's just that in one case, the liberals rooting for the auteur that reminds them of themselves, and in the chuds case, they're rooting for the main IP character that reminds them of themselves. So for the conservative / reactionaries, they just care about the IP. Like, I just want um the IP to exist forever. Except I want him to stay white. I want him to stay male. I want him to um affirm me the way, it affirmed me when I was a kid. And the difference is, when they were kids, those white straight male led things were legitimately very good. And the woke diversified uh zombie versions are very bad. So technically, the right wing people do like the better, more original thing. They just like it for the same shallow reasons, on the same shallow level, that the woke person likes um what they like, that I think is uh the big problem for me. So anyway, let's get started.
So you've probably seen the viral video of Tom Cruise fighting Brad Pitt.
Oh, also, the links to all this stuff is in the description. If you guys want to watch it later, you should give all these people a follow.
Now, AI videos are nothing new. They've been circulating on the internet for years now. AI videos always seem to stir up a lot of mixed emotions, but recently the conversation feels different. Now, regardless of how you feel about this video, I think it's pretty clear that AI and the discussion regarding its place in filmmaking will define the future of entertainment. And it's led many people to ask, is this slop?
Some people hate this, James. I don't know what it is, but they fucking hate it.
Whenever an AI clip like this comes out, it restarts the fight about...
Yeah, if you look, the fighting looks so bad. Like, I admit it does look kind of photorealistic, but the martial arts looks so poorly choreographed, and it's crazy that people are excited about this.
The future of AI and entertainment. And broadly speaking, two very loud camps always emerge. On one hand, you have people who believe AI is the future. They look at every new AI video as a sign that the end is nigh for Hollywood. They preach that AI is getting closer to being indistinguishable from human-made art with every new iteration. In this camp, some people are sad at the inevitable replacement of human actors and directors, and others are filled with glee. To some, this is a joyous day of reckoning, a long overdue judgment day. But regardless of sentiment, this camp believes that AI is inevitable, that actors and directors are soon to be a thing of the past. On the other hand, you have your AI skeptics. These are the digital detectives who spot every sin of AI. They point to...
Yeah, I've seen clips of Ironheart. It looks terrible to me. These are clips that no context can help. I was obsessed with watching Ironheart reviews because I just couldn't believe that it existed. And this is the problem I have with Ironheart. It's the problem I have with a lot of these quote unquote woke diversity shows, is that they're always about the self. They're always about me proving that everyone who looked down on me is wrong. It's about me proving that I deserve to be here, that I've been kept down. And instead of being about something bigger than yourself, the universal, like the human, like what makes all of us, what we all have in common, it's about what makes me different and why I'm special. So, like, Riri was always just complaining about, she wanted to have money and success and the recognition of Tony Stark, and that it wasn't right that she didn't have it. Like, this thing permeates all this stuff, and it really loses me, right? For example, even with Miles Morales in the Across the Spider-Verse movie, I just watched Across the Spider-Verse last week for a video I'm gonna make. And like, Peter Parker's most iconic line is, with great power, there must come great responsibility. Miles' most iconic line is, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. That's his most iconic line in the movie. And it's like the whole thing with Peter Parker traditionally is that his happiness has to come last. Nobody respects him. Um, the newspapers call Spider-Man a menace. Like the kids love Spider-Man, think he's cool, but the adults, the newspapers, the media, they always call him a menace. They blame him for every crime. He's not appreciated by the public. And then adults like Peter Parker, but the young people hate him, and he doesn't get any glory for anything he does. But he does it because it's the right thing to do. He does it it's his responsibility. But when I watched like Across the Spider-Verse, the big speeches, people complaining, hey, you think you're Spider-Man? You're not Spider-Man. You're an anomaly. You're an imposter. You don't deserve to wear that thing. And it's like, no, I am special. I do deserve it. It goes, no, you're wrong. Blah, blah, blah. And then, then it's like, no, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing, and it's like you're fighting to be recognized. Whereas traditionally Spider-Man is not recognized. But like they're using the real world status of Spider-Man, like on a meta level. Like Spider-Man, the character as an IP is very popular. Peter Parker is very iconic. So within the Across the Spider-Verse, the argument becomes, it's a meta argument. They're saying, hey, why does the white character, the male, get to be the most popular? Why can't the black character be it? And they're working that meta commentary into the art, but they forget that within the world of the story, Peter Parker is not the success that Spider-Man, the comic book character, is. He's so it's kind of like there's 500 Peter Parkers. What they've done is they made Peter Parker generic to pretend that Miles is unique. Like Miles is just a watered down Peter Parker that happens to be black. And I think it's like less interesting because he's not even poor. Like as a black person who grew up working class, I identify more with the original Peter Parker than Miles Morales. Miles Morales, his family lives in gentrified Brooklyn, which is very expensive. They own like either a whole floor in a loft or a whole loft. They're near like the clock tower. I mean, they're well off. The father is a police captain. I don't know what the mother does, but they're making good money to be able to like live like they live in Brooklyn and own like that. Like Peter Parker was broke. He is selling. Because the man of the house. He has to make money for his aunt who's too old and feeble to work. Like I'm gonna do a separate video. I'm gonna do a separate video about it. Like I like the first Spider-Verse movie. I thought that was harmless and fun. I mean, I hate all multiverse movies, so I like this much like a multiverse movie. I don't like the idea of two Spider-Men at all. I don't care who they are. So I don't like something with a million Spider-Men. Like I don't really like it. But it was the best it could be within that level. The animation was very good. I liked it as animation. The guys who wrote it are actually good writers. I don't like what they chose to write about. Like I don't like the ethos of it, what it's selling, but because it has this kind of mentality of it, like there's this idea. I don't know where it came from, but there's something with woke diverse stuff where you're reclaiming something that you didn't create and wasn't created for you. And I don't know what that even means. Like there's this kind of, they did with Lovecraft Country. Oh, it's reclaiming Lovecraft. Like how can you reclaim someone from themselves? Like the white racists made it. You're not reclaiming it, you're claiming it. But they don't want to say they're claiming it because then that would admit that what they're trying to do what white people always did. They're trying to reverse colonize. Like white people appropriate and take stuff, and we're in this two wrongs make a right culture. So what they want to do is like, we want to take this from you the way you took rock and roll from us, Like two wrongs make a right, but they also know that they've been preaching against it forever. So they don't want to say, I'm claiming this. They want to say, so that this new thing, I'm reclaiming it. And it's very common now. Everything is like reclaimed. So there's this kind of energy in all this stuff, where this Ironheart or Miles Morales, that somehow this person is taking back something that the original IP character was keeping from them. Like somehow Tony Stark and MIT and all these people were keeping Riri Williams from her rightful destiny, which is just basically taking someone else's shit or recreating what someone else did. Like, so Miles Morales is taking somebody else's identity, right? But we're supposed to act like he's somehow wronged by everyone else. And everything interesting about him is taken from Peter Parker. His girlfriend in the movies is Peter Parker's girlfriend, Gwen. His enemies and whatever, the Prowler is a Spider-Man, is a Peter Parker villain. Everything is Peter Parker. His look is Peter Parker. His thing is Peter Parker, except he's black and he's middle class. He's because a lot of people who agitate in this stuff, they're not from the hood. They're people, they're black people who are privileged, but who like to emotionally blackmail white liberals. So like, I think Miles could be an interesting character if they made him unique, but everything about him is derivative. Like, okay, think about this. All his villains are derivative. His girlfriend, his supporting characters, his parents are the only different thing. He has parents, okay. But that just makes him just more privileged. Like, everything that's different about him makes him more privileged. But we're supposed to believe that he's somehow the oppressed Spider-Man because he's black. Like, there's no class analysis in it. Like there's a scene in the movie that it looks like a throwaway scene, but it says a lot. He leaves his party to chase after Gwen, and he runs across the rooftops and he's throwing his clothes, including his brand new Jordans. He's just dropping them on the fire escape as he changes so he can chase after Gwen. So those clothes are just lost. The original Peter Parker in the old comic books, he was so poor, he had to hide his clothes in the alley and hope nobody found him because he didn't know how he was going to re-afford new clothes. You know, there's a privilege in Miles Morales that just kind of annoys me because everyone wants to pretend that he's like the more oppressed Spider-Man, and Peter Parker is the more privileged one because he's white and male. And I feel like the same thing happens like with all these characters. That's my problem with what's her name? Riri Williams. Like, she's not a good person for what I've seen. Like, she joins a gang to make a lot of money so she can fund her own inventions and get the glory that Tony Stark has. Like, all she sees in Tony Stark is he has what I don't have because he's white and privileged, and I want the same shit, you know. So yeah, that's our problem with that stuff. Like, if you don't think about it too hard and just think, oh, the black person's getting a shot, then it looks fine. But the problem is they give the black person the most narcissistic values to justify it and make them less heroic than the white person. But you're supposed to just see them as being as heroic or more heroic just because they have these identity markers, you know? And I don't. Yeah, but they actually don't seem, they're split on Miles Morales, I think. I think the Chuds are kind of split on Miles Morales. Like, I don't mind Miles Morales as a character. I just don't like him as Spider-Man. I don't get it. And even in the Spider-Verse movie, in the alternate universe where he does become Spider-Man, who does he become? The Prowler. That's a Peter Parker villain. Like, he never becomes his own thing in anything. They made a bunch of comics, what if comics, about Miles Morales in the Marvel thing. And what did they do in those? They made Miles Morales Captain America. They made him Thor. I think they made him like 2 other characters. So I'm like, okay, even in What Ifs, he just becomes other white characters. Yeah, it was just weird. Anyway, I'm gonna do a video about Across the Spider-Verse and make my case better with actual clips.
Every glitchy movement, every morphing accessory, and every weird, distorted earlobe as proof of its failure. They caution against believing in the tech, arguing that AI will never be able to compete with the mastery, the soul of the human
She's talking about the people who are against AI.
artist. But here's the problem. I think both sides are missing the point. They're arguing about technical validity while ignoring something far more important: the current culture of entertainment. The AI skeptics are busy looking at AI in terms of how close it feels to the uncanny valley. That creepy feeling you get when something looks almost human, but not quite.
Tell it to me in Star Wars.
All right, we like R2-D2 and C-3PO.
They're nice.
And up here, we have a real person, like Han Solo.
He acts like he doesn't care, but he does.
But down here, we have a CGI stormtrooper or Tom Hanks in the Polar Express.
I'm scared. Get me out of there.
They're hunting
I've never watched a whole episode of 30 Rock, but every clip of it just seems so terrible to me. But people love it. I don't know if I don't know. Like that was pretty terrible to me. I don't know.
for technical glitches. But broadly speaking, I think both camps are missing the bigger issue. Because the real question shouldn't be, is AI good enough to be art? It's not even really a question of whether AI can rise above being slop. I think the real question should be, is our culture now conditioned to accept slop? But what is slop? Because slop isn't just bad content. We've always had bad movies. Slop is different. Slop is low effort, high volume filler designed for passive consumption. It's not meant to be good. It's meant to be enough to keep you from scrolling away. And if the standard for what we watch has already been lowered to the level of slop, then AI doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be passable.
And this is something that I've been saying, and my main example was BuzzFeed. You know, like if you get people used to just listicles and you know, which genocidal dictator is which Disney princess, and it's just a slideshow, you know, like in articles like that, like you kind of dumbing down the audience. And I feel like a lot of these corporations have been trying to dumb down audiences to prepare them to accept either human scabs or AI. And I like this video because it pretty much is talking about exactly what I've been saying.
Around AI reminds me of the emergency meeting scene in the movie Margin Call. I know that probably seems like a weird comparison.
I have no problem with Tracy Morgan being the same character in everything he's in. I think it's just terrible writing. It wouldn't matter to me who you put in that role. Like that seems like really bad writing to me. I don't get it. So yeah, my problem isn't I'm not saying Tracy Morgan's great in this scene, but I don't really see anyone delivering those lines well. Is this a good thing? Are you saying Riri was flawed? They hammered it home in the ending to defend it, or to say it's bad? I'm just wondering because I see Vic Booz is agreeing with you saying the ending was dope, but to me, from what I know of it, the ending and showing how flawed it was, to me, just kind of shows how, as a character, she was just botched from the beginning. Like, I don't think it really showed anything about why she was supposed to be supposedly heroic. Like I don't understand. So I'm kind of curious. I'd love to hear more about what you guys think about that, because I do agree that she was flawed. But from what I've seen about the ending, I think she is basically a villain. She's a villain that the writers don't realize that they wrote a villain because they don't understand heroism.
And I know the movie's about the 2008 financial collapse, but I think it perfectly captures the tone of the AI conversation we should be having.
But John, if you do this, you will kill the market for you.
Hollywood, the game has changed because it feels like there's no avoiding the collapse in expectation.
Yeah, this is something that I was talking to my friend about because my friend is a playwright. And I was saying that everyone talks about how bad writing is or how bad AI is, but I think the bigger question is how bad our audience is. Because I think the audience has been so irreversibly declined that even if we were to give them good art, I'm not sure that they could properly enjoy it.
Hollywood lowered standards and expectations. As a result, AI, even with all of its mistakes, is now indistinguishable from so much of the slop that comes out of Hollywood. Not because AI rose to Hollywood's production level, but because Hollywood has met them at the bottom.
What I think
I
makes this so
totally
cinematic.
agree. And this is a great example. If you've seen this movie, The Flash, it has the same look as AI slop. This looks like, have you seen those cat videos where the cats are singing and throwing up and there's like these weird things happening, and um the cats are meowing, Shine Bright Like a Diamond by Rihanna. Like this looks actually worse than those AI slop videos.
On Hollywood's behalf is they knew what they were creating was not good enough. And to continue the margin call comparison, just like during the financial crisis, the banks knowingly sold off bad loans, Hollywood knows they've been peddling slop. Hollywood groomed the audience to accept slop well before AI became a legitimate threat.
Who are we selling this to?
Same people we've been selling it to for the last 2 years, and whoever else will buy it.
In the process of creating a more convenient consumer, Hollywood diminished the one thing that could have protected them from the machine, the expectation of quality. If you've spent 10 years telling your audience that a $200 million movie can look like a PS3 cutscene, you can't act surprised when that audience is okay with an AI-generated Brad Pitt. It's not about whether AI can replace a real actor's nuance. It's the cold realization that the industry has reached a point where a significant portion of the audience either doesn't care.
So these scenes here are the de-aged Indiana Jones from the last Indiana Jones movie, and it looked terrible. I didn't watch the movie, but I saw the clips of the de-aged Indiana Jones, and I could not believe what I was seeing.
Or has been conditioned to no longer tell the difference.
In Hollywood's migration towards content, in their quest to dominate every waking second of our attention, the studios became the architects of their own struggle. I think this interview with Disney CEO Bob Iger really highlights this point.
But I think in our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve our.
Well, I will say this: the people who wrote Spider-Verse, Lord and Miller, they're very good writers. They're these two white guys. I don't know how old they are, but I'm gonna say that they're probably Gen X age. Yeah, they're both. Phil Lord is 50 years old, and how old is Christopher Miller? It says Christopher Miller is 50 years old, too. So they're both Gen X. This can sound offensive, but they just write better. So they know how to tell a basic story. So I think it's easier for those, but they're doing it for this modern audience. So they're putting the modern audiences, what they think the modern audience of a Miles Morales that's younger wants to do, but they're just good writers. So it's going to have a certain baseline level of quality. I think that's why it's less obvious, because they didn't have millennials or younger write it. If they had like the BuzzFeed, Twitter, Tumblr generation, if it was someone that came up in that space, if it was like, just throw some names out there, like Cody Ziegler or Dana Schwartz, it would have totally been worn on its sleeve, because those people, they can't write subtly. Like I feel like someone like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they understand what heroism and universality is. So there's still going to be some of that in it, but I think the bad root of it is kind of baked into Miles Morales. So no matter who writes it, part of that I deserve what you've got is just baked into Miles Morales, because you have to explain why. See, when Miles Morales first appeared, he was in this alternate universe where the original Spider-Man died, and he took his place. And I don't think it was a problem there, because there was a void that had to be filled. Once they started creating worlds where he has to coexist with Peter Parker, I think that's when it kind of fundamentally changed the problem with Miles Morales, which is we have to justify his need to be there, sharing the same name, etc. And I think that's when the problem, I think, kind of developed with Miles. But yeah, I just think they had Gen X writers, so that helped wallpaper over a lot of the bad. If it was millennials, social media bred writers, they're as subtle as a jackhammer. It would have hit you right in the face. And that's why I say, like, they are well crafted movies. Like, unlike other stuff, like say the She-Hulk or the new Indiana Jones and all that stuff, they are well-crafted movies. I just don't like the ethos of them. But unlike the other stuff, they're not bad, and I think that's why they got less. Because people think that those reactionary people just hate things because they're diverse, but I do think they do like quality. You know, they all loved Black Panther. I don't see any of them hate Black Panther, and the next Spider-Verse, I think they do have an ability to appreciate some level of quality. Not, but I think it's got to be a lot. I think if it's like medium or okay, then the racism will definitely win. Okay, him breaking the canon. Okay, so breaking the canon. There's 100 plus Peter Parkers and 1 Miles. And the 100 plus Peter Parkers are perfectly fine just falling in line with somebody named Miguel from 2099, who's not even the original Spider-Man. They're just lemmings. But Miles Morales is the original free thinker. Like think about that. Like, you're nerfing the original thing that started it all, the one that is the main thing. And then what are you doing? You're taking away all the free will from being Peter Parker. Being Peter Parker is just a bunch of predetermined events. So his choices don't matter. The whole point of Peter Parker is he made a choice. He chose to let a villain go by. I mean, a burglar go by because he wanted to think about himself. You know, what did you say? Like, I don't see how that's my problem. You know, he felt he had the right to focus on himself because people were telling him that he didn't matter. He had the right to be about, this is to be about my self-expression, my whatever, because people have been shitting on me my whole life. And then what happens? By making that choice, everything goes wrong. So first off, this whole canon thing makes it so that, no, that wasn't a choice. That was a predetermined event that has to happen in every universe. And if it didn't happen, we wouldn't have Spider-Man. Okay, so like, that's a weird subversion. Like, why would you even do that? And there's 100 Peter Parkers now, and they just follow whatever Destiny tells them to do. So Destiny tells them to let this guy die, and they're gonna do it. And they're not even. It's not even a Peter Parker in charge of the whole thing. It's just somebody else, and they're just listening to him, and they're getting sick like lapdogs on Miles Morales, who has only been Spider-Man for a year. These are all the original Peter Parkers. Many of them who have been Spider-Man for like decades, and he's outmaneuvering them. You mean to tell me not a single Peter Parker can catch a Miles Morales who's been at it for 1 year? It's like a total Mary Sue. Like, they don't understand what makes Spider-Man at all. A Spider-Man who just goes by thinking that he doesn't have choices and working off of destiny, and there's 100 of them, and it's because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make Peter Parker less like Spider-Man so they can make Miles Morales more like Peter Parker than Peter Parker is. But yet 100 adult Peter Parkers cannot catch the Keystone Cops. I don't really see what's so great about Miles Morales. Like the movies are really well done. I mean, Miles Morales as Spider-Man, like, he should be a whole different character and have something to talk about. But by giving him the identity of Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie, his whole ethos becomes about proving that he's as good as Peter Parker, which then makes the movie about nerfing Peter Parker and making a case for him. So, yeah, the canon event, right? Breaking the canon event, which is a critical plot element, fine. But that's a double meaning. Why is it called a canon event? Canon is the history of something. He's breaking the canon. It's a double entendre. It's a meta thing. They call it a canon event because a canon event is something that is iconic. It's an iconic work of art. That's what the canon is. So he's breaking the Spider-Man canon. Do you understand? He's subverting and transcending the original Peter Parker canon. Because at the time that he says, I'm gonna do my own thing, they weren't talking about his uncle. What was being spoken about at the time he says, I'm gonna do my own thing? You're talking about how you don't deserve to be here. Miguel is berating him. They give the game away. Miguel is berating him about, you don't have a right to be here. You don't have a right to, you shouldn't exist. It's all meta commentary about how the character, a Black Spider-Man, shouldn't exist. And the whole father Captain Stacy thing is just window dressing. It's just window dressing. The real thing is about how he's an anomaly. You're the original anomaly. That's what's being yelled at him when he says, I'm gonna do my own thing. He didn't say it wasn't saying I'm gonna do my own thing. It wasn't like he was saying your father's gotta die, this, that, and then he said, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. He was responding to a very specific thing, which is the stuff that I was complaining about. But he's not doing his own thing. He's just being a richer, more privileged Peter Parker. And they have to make Peter Parker less like Peter Parker. So Peter Parker is not doing his own thing. He's being out of character so that Miles Morales can be Peter Parker, but claim he's doing his own thing. And him saying he's doing his own thing while actually just redoing what the white guy did is more of what I'm talking about this new woke black thing where you say you're reclaiming something like it was always yours when you're really just copying something. And I don't know why they do this. Like, why are we accepting black people just copying white people, but we have to pretend that they're breaking a new path? Same thing with like the Sam Wilson Captain America thing. He had his own identity, and now his struggle is proving that he's worthy of the white identity. So what are you saying about his original identity as a Falcon? That didn't matter? Like, he would rather give up his own created identity as a black man to be taking the white man's hand-me-down character and his role. And we're supposed to act like it's a promotion. Like it's all of it has a weird ethos to me. I don't really. I think the character of Miles Morales would get better used if they tried to make him an original character with his own identity.
Mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond, in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel's a great example of that. They had not been in the TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series. And frankly, it diluted focus and attention.
I disagree with this. They agree with it, but I disagree with it. I do think that spamming content and increasing their movie content and doing TV content probably didn't help. And they chose quantity over quality. But with the people they were hiring, it didn't matter how much or how little they did. It was going to be crap. It's kind of like, for example, when people say, there's a popular thing people say, oh, if the Game of Thrones guys, they rushed it, and that's why the ending was so bad. And they were rushing to go ahead and move on to Star Wars, and then they rush it, and it sucked. And it's like, no, it sucked because they suck. They can't write. They're terrible. It sucked because they were just using George R.R. Martin's books and notes and doing it worse. But George R.R. Martin's source material is so good that even they can't totally stink it up. And then once they ran out of it, that's why it sucked. And I hate when people say, oh, if they had more time. I'm like, no, because you're saying they're good writers. You're saying that they just needed time. If they had more time, it would have been worse. So people understand. The only reason it even had as good as it was, the season 8, even though it was bad, whatever remaining goodness it had was because they rushed it. if you gave them 4 seasons to do it, you know how shitty it would get by that those 4 seasons. Like, and that's the problem. Like, talent comes before everything. Talent comes before conditions. If you had talented people, it wouldn't matter how expanded you did it. But what they wanted to start doing was they want to treat the writer as unimportant. And under the guise of increasing diversity in youth, because they want to have a top-down run system. They got rid of showrunners. They didn't want directors who were going to have a strong vision push back. They want to have a corporate run and created machine. So they started going against having strong auteurs and people with strong visions. They want to have people who were just going to kind of take notes, take direction, because they felt the IP could carry everything. They figured the first 10, 15 years of MCU built up enough goodwill that it can just slot anybody in there for cheap and who wouldn't push back. You know, like, because before these have people, they would hire people like Patty Jenkins. They would hire people like the guy who did Baby Driver and stuff. And people would have creative differences, or people had to get fired and stuff like that. And they're like, we're so big now, we don't need to hire good writers. We can hire these terrible millennial podcasters and tweeters and whatever, and just with 2 credits to the name, we can hire people off the Rick and Morty writers room. Like there was like 6 different lesser Rick and Morty writers that they just threw on there. There were the guy that Captain America and the Falcon only did like a couple of episodes of Empire before, and this gave him that. And if you look at the writers of the original MCU stuff, these were like seasoned writers who had written a lot of things, and seasoned directors. They just started giving anything to anybody. So yeah, I disagree with that. Like I do agree, when you have untalented people, giving them more stuff to do is even going to make it worse, because now you have untalented people and you're asking like more out of them. But it was never gonna be good with the people they hired. And I think that's kind of what annoys me about what Bob Iger said here, because what's the real correction? The real correction is not so much about doing less. They hired back the Russo brothers, the older guys who did Winter Soldier and Endgame. He's saying this, but he knows it's about the talent, but he can't say it's about the talent. Like he didn't keep the same types of writers for this new correction that's coming up that they're doing with. So these new movies coming up, we're going to have some of the same Rick and Morty-esque writers that they've been using for the past 2 phases. One of them was I forget the name, but he worked on Quantumania, and they had the same millennial-ass modern Funko Pop type writers that they were using for the Disney Plus era. And then they announced they're getting rid of them, and they bring back the Russo brothers. So he knows not really about the quality, because he could have just done less and kept the original people assigned to those new Avengers movies, but he didn't.
So Bob Iger essentially admitted to peddling slop, well before the AI panic ever hit its peak. Hollywood didn't just accidentally make bad movies. They strategically decided that quantity.
Someone said this, I know you hate the Boondocks, but you have to admit the season without. No, I totally agree. I think Aaron McGruder is very talented. I don't think he's untalented at all. My problem is his politics. His racial politics. I think they're terrible. I've never thought that he was a bad writer. I think he's a very clever, funny writer. That's kind of what makes his bad politics even worse. Because if it was just bad writing, it would be forgotten. But he makes the bad politics very seductive by being such a funny, good writer.
Was a better business model than quality. Hollywood has been in the business of lowering standards for a while now. They wanted a more docile and accepting consumer. The ideal content consumer is more akin to a pig at a trough than a food critic discussing the differences between quality of cuts of beef at a gourmet restaurant. By lowering...
I just want to say this. He goes, I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's the climax that's pushing us to the next story. Miles will probably have to fall in line and the canon will continue. I don't like the idea of a canon. I don't like the idea that that Peter Parker's life is just predestination that happens a million places. There's a million Peter Parkers. I think it's a no-win scenario. It takes away the uniqueness of the character. It takes away the control over his own life and destiny. He's just living out a predetermined script. So yeah, I just don't really think the premise, it just works, period. If you're gonna make something like that, it shouldn't be a Spider-Man thing, because Spider-Man is not like that. Spider-Man is about your humanity, down to earth stakes, and human choice, and choosing others above yourself. It's about Peter Parker and his aunt.
Standards, they created the opening for AI. An opening that has very little to do with AI getting smarter and more human, and everything to do with the standards in Hollywood decreasing, leading to dumber and more robotic entertainment, the type of entertainment that AI can much more easily replicate. Instead of committing to making art, the studios opted to sell the minimum viable product.
By the way, if you don't know, this is a real Hollywood blockbuster movie. This is not AI slop. This is from The Flash. This made it into a major blockbuster movie.
Cultivating an audience with minimum expectations. They achieved their goal, but now they're terrified that AI will produce slop far faster than they can.
I think what's really sad about the rise of AI is it didn't inspire commitment from the studios to combat slop with prestige entertainment. To see the future of cinema, you don't need to look at a film festival. Unfortunately, I think you can just look at TikTok. Not because that's how you create great films, but because that's where Hollywood is choosing to compete. Not in the realm of prestige cinema, but in the world of attention monopolizing content. AI has already conquered social media. If you're on TikTok, you're familiar with the imperfect, shimmering AI slop that users swipe through, like, and share every second. Nobody thinks...
I have a prediction for what's going to happen next for movies. I think what they're going to do is create AI-generated movies where you can vote on your phones while you're watching the movie for how you want the movie to end. And it'll real-time generate an ending based on what the audience votes for. So no two showings will end exactly the same way, because people are doing that now all over TikTok and social media. People are using AI to remix the endings of their favorite movies. So like there's one going around where the horse in Neverending Story doesn't die. Like they're doing stuff like I'm using AI to save my childhood or to rescue my childhood, and they're taking away like painful loss and lessons and uncomfortable situations from old movies and making them turn out the quote unquote right way. And I think in some years we're going to see that happen to movie theaters. You're going to be able to take all the unpleasant stuff out of movies in real time, and it'll AI generate endings, and they'll get people to go to movies over and over, because you'll never get the same thing twice. You'll go to different countries, different states, different cities, different audiences, and get something different every time.
Yeah, Bigfoot looks real. In fact, most people don't even think about it in terms of realism at all. It's a momentary distraction. There's zero emotional investment, and because of that, there's zero expectation of quality. People who argue that AI will never reach the heights of human creativity are still playing a game that Hollywood has already forfeited. A recent study revealed that over 50% of Gen Z now use TikTok as their primary search engine and entertainment source. Hollywood isn't competing to create the next Godfather anymore. They're competing with a split-screen video of a Family Guy clip in a mobile game. Hollywood saw this, and instead of standing their ground, they decided to capitalize on it. Look at the Minecraft movie. This isn't a film. It's a 90-minute TikTok session edited for the big screen. The studio didn't build a cinematic world. They compiled memes. They stuffed the film with YouTuber cameos and leaned into the absurdity of Jack Black just Jack Blacking for the camera.
And you know what's crazy? I heard this thing made a lot of money. So they were rewarded for it. So that means we're going to see more.
Hollywood fell in love with this low-effort content. It meant they could get away with releasing absolute trash and still turn a profit. But now they're paying for it. They're paying for it now because they want to appeal to the idea of quality. They want standards to protect them from the onslaught of AI slop. They want to believe the audience will band together to reject AI slop in the name of art.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the left side of the I think the right side of the audience is more in love with the idea of AI. I think the left side of the audience is against it, but the left side is against it because they see their dreams dying. They worship artists and they want to be artists and quote unquote creatives. So, but they absorb and have been absorbing things that I think are probably going to be worse than what the AI is going to make, to be honest. I don't think the AI can make something as bad as She-Hulk. You know, See, yeah. So I don't think they dislike it for the right reasons at all. I think they're on the right side of it compared to the conservatives, but for the totally wrong reasons. I think the conservatives they don't value art and artists, even like the liberals in actuality don't really value art, but they value a misguided idea of art. They think of art as an identity. You know, they don't actually really value art as a craft, but at least they value art in some way, as a bad way. Whereas I don't think the conservatives really value art at all. They just value like the IP and what it represents and the conformity of it. It's I don't fully understand what they get out of it, because the more I'm watching them, the more I'm confused about what they get out of art. I understand what the liberal gets out of art more. I don't fully understand what the conservative gets out of art, but I do think that the liberal thinks they appreciate art more than they do, and that's at least something. Like, even if they appreciate art for the wrong reasons, at least they appreciate it. Whereas I'm not sure the conservatives do, and I'm not. I used to think that they appreciated more than the liberals because they were bashing all these terrible woke shows and talking about how the old stuff was better, which it was. So I thought, oh, they really appreciate art. But now I realize whatever they saw in the old better stuff that they were championing over the woke stuff, it wasn't what I saw. They just happened to, just like the liberals happen to be on the right side for the wrong reasons, the right side being on the side of art, of the artist. The conservatives were on the side of better classic art, but also for the wrong reasons. And what those reasons are, I'm not 100% sure. If any of you have a theory, please let me know.
But herein lies the problem. The studios have spent the last decade rewarding people for defending their slop. They've trained a significant portion of the film community to believe that criticizing content is toxic. You can't spend 10 years telling your audience to turn off their...
I want to rewind this because I think this is a great point. There was that movement of let people enjoy things and don't be a hater and stop ruining things for people. And they make a great point here. I think is worth rewinding because I was talking.
Yield to the idea of quality. They want standards to protect them from the onslaught of AI slop. They want to believe the audience will band together to reject AI slop in the name of art. But herein lies the problem. The studios have spent the last decade rewarding people for defending their slop. They've trained a significant portion of the film community to believe that criticizing content is toxic. You can't spend 10 years telling your audience to turn off their brains and just enjoy things, and then act surprised when they don't notice the actor they're watching is AI generated.
But I want to blame the studios. I'll blame the audiences too. Like, audiences were trying to tell you that you had no right to criticize things. They were just doing that with Brianna Joy Gray and One Battle After Another. Like, they were trying to silence her and say she, just don't watch it. Why are you saying anything bad about it? And not actually engaging her on the merits of the thing. And they were very anti-intellectual about it. They didn't want to defend the craft or discuss it on a craft level at all. So their problem isn't against bad standards or anti-intellectualism. Like, they're very anti-intellectual. A lot of the anti-AI crowd, they just feel like humans should have the right to make the crap. Like, they actually like that it's crappy because a lot of them are untalented. So they like the idea of the standard being lowered because they can see themselves creating this crap. This crap doesn't intimidate them. But they don't see a way that they can do this iconic, like they don't see a world where they could be George Lucas and create a world out of nothing. They don't see a world where they could be Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, but they can see a world where they're hired to do like what South Park said, like put a chick in it and make her lame and gay, like that they can do. It's very easy. So yeah, like the studios have been telling people it's wrong to think too hard about things. The quote unquote good fans have been telling people and it's wrong to think too hard and criticize things. And you know, a lot of those people are the same ones who are against AI now, and they want to rally the troops to care about standards. You know, but these people are going to tell them the same stuff, the same excuses that these people gave whenever anybody pointed out how bad the past 10 years of woke Hollywood is. The pro AI people are going to be able to make the same things. Like, you know, why do you think it's so hard? Why do you care? Let people enjoy things.
The great tragedy of this shift is that Hollywood's entire value proposition was built on the idea of prestige. But you can't gatekeep quality while you actively are serving slop. We've seen a string of technical failures recently that weren't just mistakes, they were systemic collapses of standards. And in many cases, they weren't just caught, they were defended. Now, I'm not saying they should be ashamed because they're mistakes. Mistakes are human, they're part of the charm of the creative process. Look at Lord of the Rings. Even the epitome of Hollywood excellence has mistakes. In this shot, you can clearly see Gandalf wearing a wristwatch. But it's a human error in a vast sea of creative effort. But the mistakes we're seeing today, they're different. These mistakes are nearly identical to the types of things people call out in AI slop. Now look at Crave the Hunter. When I walked out of the theater, I honestly could not believe a major studio felt they had the right to charge money for that film. There is a scene where they clearly did not have the coverage they needed. So they used a still frame of the actress and added a moving mouth. It is as bad as any low-tier AI generator I have ever seen.
This is crazy.
Look, there would have been universal outrage.
Look,
that we could have all come together in solidarity to demand more of Sony. But instead,
they just put a mouth moving on a still picture. But I'm like, why did they even do that? Why not just show his face and play her voice? Like, it's just crazy that they did that. I'm gonna back that up because in case you missed it, it is insane. This is it right here.
Scene. You would have thought there would have been universal outrage.
Right there.
That we could have all come together in solidarity to demand more of Sony. But instead, most people didn't notice. And what's worse are the ones who did, but said, it's not a big deal. It's just a fun film. Now, others made the excuse that Craven was a project that Sony no longer believed in, that they just wanted to dump it and be done with it. Which sounds exactly how people talk online about slop. I think no matter what, it's sleazy to release something you know is not up to standard. And I don't understand why so much consideration is given to studios when they are so clearly making business decisions, not art. But what about the films that are marketed as prestige projects? The type of movies they say will set the standard of the movie-going experience. The films they herald as triumphs that are submitted for awards. Even they are not immune to slop. Because just look at this clip from Superman and his warping foot.
Crypto, ow, stop it, sit, stay.
Now, some people have argued that this is the result of the camera lens used during filming. But regardless, to the audience, it looks exactly like the sloppy animation we expect from an AI monstrosity. And what's worse, it was in the trailer. People pointed it out. They had time to fix it, and yet they did nothing.
Well, and this came after people noticed something off about the Superman flying scene from the teaser trailer.
Yes,
a scene that people defended, only for James Gunn to admit it never should have made it into the teaser at all. But the thing is, they didn't just defend it. They heralded it as revolutionary, that it was so amazing that as the audience, we needed to change our perception in order to appreciate the greatness of the scene.
Yeah, and it really just raises the question, why is there this defense of careless oversight? Why is there an attempt to recondition the audience's expectations to better align with the lowering levels of effort from Hollywood? It's like they're trying to maintain a sense of Hollywood infallibility when we, the audience, notice the standards are dropping.
I think looking at films like Superman are very useful in discussing what's happening in Hollywood because it demonstrates a lot of the reoccurring.
Wow, this is very AI slop too.
A reshaping that opens the door for AI. Seem to be speed.
I haven't seen this movie. Is this in the movie, or did someone make an AI about the movie for social media? Is this like a fan-made thing?
Lowering audience expectations to the point where AI becomes viable. Because let's talk about crypto, a very obvious fully digital dog. I'm not saying that it is a problem that there's a CGI animal. Clearly, that is probably the only way to achieve a flying dog, at least the only socially and morally acceptable way. The problem is that people have tried to say the dog looks indistinguishable from a real dog, as if somehow admitting the dog clearly doesn't look real is a condemnation of the film. You can like it while acknowledging the dog looks fake. Fake in the same way that animals in The Lion King look fake, which is very similar to the AI animals you find all over the internet. Look, this isn't to say that you can't or shouldn't enjoy crypto, Superman, or The Lion King, or even AI animals. It's just that across the board, there seems to be an attempt to lower the audience's expectations of realism and authenticity. When we can't acknowledge there's room for improvement, we lock the standard where we are currently. And it is a standard that in many cases, AI can already replicate.
This closing of the gap is exacerbated by innovations like filming on volume, which while innovative, often leads to flat lighting and a claustrophobic feel that mimics the uncanny flatness of an AI environment. Hollywood is opening the door.
I think also like the soap opera effect on TV and stuff, I think has been getting people used to this video game look. I noticed a lot of the motion capture stuff is not motion capture, whatever they call it, the speed, the frame speed, I think has been kind of fucking with people's heads too. I've noticed more movies in the theater actually look like soap opera effect HD.
For AI to replace them, because if the official product has the same systemic glitches as the fake product, how can you expect the audience to tell the difference, let alone care? When we throw away our discernment at the altar of enjoyment, we allow the standard to whatever we're willing to endure.
I don't think enough can be said about how insane this self-sabotage actually is. The greatest advantage an institution like Hollywood had over AI is authenticity. It's the dedication to the craft. It's seeing a specific actor in a specific moment in time tell a specific story. There is an electricity that comes from seeing a real person give a performance that transports you.
Let's skip ahead a little bit.
I was talking about a TikTok gimmick. But in modern Hollywood, that's considered a prestige visual effect. Because look, if I pitch to you an app that makes...
Oh, yeah, you're talking about this aging and de-aging effect that they do and how it's basically the same as a TikTok filter.
Convenience of digital effects are leeching the authenticity out of performances. Because look, if I pitch to you an app that makes you look older, or bald, or younger with a digital filter, you'd assume I was talking about a TikTok gimmick. But in modern Hollywood, that's considered a prestige visual effect. De-aging trades the reality of a great performance for an artificial mask. Some might argue it is inherently in the realm of slop. It plasters a digital influencer filter over an actor's eyes and turns them into a sideshow attraction. And it feels like it's everywhere now. When Disney brought back a young Luke Skywalker, fans...
So in all those examples, those are like digitally de-aged people. They're just basically running a algorithm filter on their face.
We didn't realize what we were greenlighting. Because what studios heard was, we don't need a real performance. We just need the pixels to look like the thing we remember.
We did it. We did it. It looked amazing. Look at that. That looks like what you would buy from a store.
And Hollywood was all too happy to take the shortcuts. Hollywood's abuse of these tools like de-aging and CGI, have made their offering, in many cases, indistinguishable from the kind of what-if offerings of AI. Things like, what if I want to see an actor in a role they could never play? What if I want to see Star Wars if it was filmed like a dark fantasy? When authenticity and the craft are your value proposition, you probably shouldn't trade those away for gimmicks. They're competing with AI on AI's turf, and it backfired. What makes things worse is it's not just the visual side of Hollywood that's lowered its standards, because that's often the pushback. That sure, AI
Yeah, this Snow White movie looked freaking horrible.
is making leaps in visual content, but it's Hollywood's storytelling that really sets it apart. That the story is more important than the visual effects, which I actually agree with. But Hollywood is lowering the standards of their scripts. They're writing scripts that they admit ask nothing of the audience. Scripts that are becoming indistinguishable from AI.
Netflix, standard way to make an action movie that we learned was, you usually have like 3 set pieces, one in the first act, one in the second, one in the third. And, they kind of ramp up, and the big one with all the explosions, and you spend most of your money on that one in the third act. That's your kind of finale. And now they're like, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes to get somebody, we want people to stay tuned in. And it wouldn't be terrible if you reiterated the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue because people are on their phones while they're watching.
I think it's kind of weird, right? I think Netflix thinks, oh, we have to dumb things down and make things worse because people are on their phone. Whereas I think if the movie was engaging and easy to comprehend and straightforward, people wouldn't be on their phone. Like, I think they have the causality wrong. They think, oh, these people are on their phone. It must be because the movie is too challenging. We got to make it dumber and whatever. And I think it's the dumbness and the hand-holding and the lack of challenge that's actually putting people on their phone. So I think the thing that they're talking about, the Netflix executives, I think they're actually going to make people even less engaged when they watch. Like, they just made really, really good. Like, this is one thing I've noticed, right? When I was watching a lot of new stuff, I was on my phone a lot. I had become very used to like second screen watching. Sometimes I didn't have 3 screens. I have it's like years ago. It really peaked during the pandemic, and I basically quit a lot of new TV. I barely watch anything. Like, the few things I watch is if people beg me enough for the podcast, I'll watch something. But like, example, something like Welcome to Dairy. The old me would have watched that just to be part of the conversation. I didn't bother. I've been watching old stuff. I have 2 books on film. And I said I'm gonna watch every movie in these books. It's gonna take years, and so then I could read the essays about them. So, one of them is 1001 films to see before you die, and it's gonna be like a long-term project. Like, there's no way I can see 1001 films in like a year or 2. So this is, an ongoing project for the rest of my life. And then there's another book called Sexual Politics and Cinema. So I've watched about 10 of those movies so far. And I noticed I had a, habit of watching on my phone, and I would forget to look at my phone for like 10, 15, 30 minutes at a time because I would get engrossed. It was almost like it was forcing my attention span back on me. And I don't think people think that's even possibility. Like, hey, what if we just make this too good to and it wasn't a conscious choice, like, oh, I'm gonna put this phone down. I would just literally forget to look at the phone.
What I mean,
When you claim your most valuable asset is the quality of your writers, because you boast that you have the type of writers that could never be replicated by AI, but then you put into place a policy that lowers the standard of writing to engage with an audience that might not be paying attention, the quality of
Yeah, this could be true because you know what? I had an attention span to go back to. I just had to rediscover it. But you're right. Some of these new people, they might they might have taste so degraded from growing up in this slop that they might not be able to appreciate the good film. That's totally possible. I think it's totally possible. The fans do a better job than the studios did de-aging. Oh, that's interesting. Disney actually hired him. I bet you after Disney hired him, his stuff will look worse. Because I think I don't know what they do. I think they overwork the people or something. So they can't yeah, I don't know.
argument goes out the window. You're writing in a way that is indistinguishable from disposable AI slop.
It seems like the outrage towards AI slop isn't about Hollywood raging against the dying of the light. They aren't trying to protect the integrity of the art form. They aren't afraid of you consuming slop. They're afraid of you no longer consuming their slop. I think a major reason modern slop has been able to so deeply take root in the industry is because Hollywood has built a culture around villainizing anyone who calls them out. They've been incredibly effective at not just peddling garbage, but training an army of sycophants to defend it. People will openly mock AI slop, but if you dare to call a $200 million studio production slop, you hit a wall of pushback. And it's always the same rhetoric. Don't be so negative. Why can't you just enjoy things? And then there's the ultimate cop-out of the loyal consumer when they know they can't defend a production. The I just want to turn off my brain and be entertained defense. Look, not every film needs to be a 3-hour deep dive into the human condition. Comfort movies exist, but turning your brain off isn't a superpower that makes you a better film goer.
And also, like, why can't the same excuse be used for AI? Which these people hate now. Suddenly, these people are not letting people enjoy things or worried about yucking people's yum or whatever dumb things they used to say when they were defending their human-made slop.
It simply makes you a better consumer. This type of attitude is not only why Hollywood gets away with it.
Well, this looks really bad. I don't know what is this? Is this from the Minecraft movie? Are these all Jack Black? Because I don't think Jack Black is Eddie Murphy. Like, Eddie Murphy has the talent to play like 5 different people, but then everyone tries to do it, and a lot of people can't. Like, Michael Myers even, I think, tops out like a 3. Like in those Austin Powers movies where he tries to go beyond 3 people, they get progressively worse. And Tyler Perry, he tries to do that too. He thinks she's like Eddie Murphy, and tries to do like multiple characters, and they all just seem like weird Medeas.
Slop is created the very environment that makes Hollywood so at risk of an AI takeover.
Oh, this looks terrible.
And this is largely Hollywood.
Well, I gotta watch it. Maybe. Well, it's kind of weird because Jack Black plays the same thing in every single movie. He just plays himself, and it's very annoying. So I can't imagine him trying to play 5 people. Because I've never even seen him play 5 different people in 5 different movies. So how's he gonna play 5 different people in one movie? That's I don't know.
And I can't stress enough how inorganic all of this feels. It seems like a giant hive mind that exists solely for the purpose of running interference for the corporate studio model. And there's just a really weird tone I've noticed from these sorts of defenders. The defenders who feel like they need to stand up for the corporations. The way they talk about film has a lot of shame and guilt baked into it. And there seems to be an implied morality in the at least I can enjoy things argument, as if critiquing something is inherently mean-spirited or toxic. But this type of thinking is completely unnatural. It's not how we've ever discussed art. It just seems like a manufactured tool designed to lower the expectations of the minimum viable product. It seems like as the studios are moving ever closer to just being tech companies, they've wholeheartedly
This looks very AI too. Is this from a real movie? Is that from like the new Tron movie?
adopted the MVP attitude. The idea of what is the bare minimum we can release and still make a profit.
Wow, that looks so AI.
Toxic positivity is just a public relations response to this minimum effort approach.
You know, something else that I just thought about. It actually makes a kind of sense, right? Because if you use AI is basically a summarizing machine. AI cannot create original things. AI summarizes what exists. So the reason AI might look the way it does is because Hollywood looks the way it does. Because AI is probably using images like this in its searches. Because one thing I noticed about AI in general, depending on the engine, there's a lot of recency bias in AI. And it's probably especially so with visuals, because what people probably think, oh, movies look better with time. That's like the default fallacy, the progression fallacy, or whatever they call it, that new things are automatically more evolved and better. So I bet you that the movie AIs, the film AIs, are being trained to look more towards recent stuff under the assumption that, oh, the recent stuff is going to have better special effects, it's going to have better filmmaking, way that heavier. So then what we think of as the AI look is just like it's not a coincidence. Not only is like the human made stuff approaching the AI level, but the AI level exists because of how bad the human stuff already looked. It's a summary of the crap that humans have been doing. And humans for a while, I feel like, have been aiming for the PS3 aesthetic.
Toxic positivity is just a public relations response to this minimum effort approach. It's the defense of corporate corner cutting disguised as wholesome fandom, where critique has been rebranded as a loyalty test. It's us versus them, but in this version, them isn't the greedy corporation. It's the audience members who actually want to discuss and assess the artistry.
Yeah, one thing about liberals now, they don't hate corporations. They just want to be pick-me's for corporations. It's very, very weird. They want to be the conscience of a corporation, but they are the biggest boosters. If anything, ironically enough, the right has become the more anti-corporate consumers of art. Like, even though a lot of it sucks, I notice a lot of these right-wing people are more likely to create their own independent companies, their own independent movies and independent studios and independent art. I mean, the stuff would be terrible. But I remember back in the days, it used to be liberals that used to make independent book presses, independent movies, independent music and whatever. Yeah, once they got co-opted by the corporations, like, they can't imagine a world where they're not sucking at the teat of a corporation. Like they're obsessed with being picked by the corporation, and if they can't work at a corporation, they don't want to work.
If you've been trained to view not complaining about inferior products as a desirable personality trait, you won't complain when the thing on screen was prompted instead of directed. If people have spent years defending shoddy CGI because they've been convinced that expectationless enjoyment makes them morally superior, how can Hollywood believe they haven't numbed their audience to the point where even AI slop will suffice? Yep. Say, it's just a movie. It's not that serious.
I'm gonna jump to this next thing. So this is Christopher Rufo, and this is an example of what I mean about they were good at prescribing. They were good at analyzing and describing the problem with the wokes, because the wokes were so incompetent at their craft, at everything they did. But when you hear their ideas of what they want to do, and Christopher Russo is a real asshole, but I apologize for forcing you to watch him, but I think it's very instructive. It's worth watching. I think this is on the Blaze Network. This is called The Price of DEI, 10 Years of Cultural Decline. And you guys know me. I've said a lot of bad things about modern DEI. Like, I'm fine with affirmative action. I just don't like how it's been used in the modern era.
These stats are real. It's say 2014 to 2024. That 10-year period, it's a decade long, the BLM era, let's call it. Did any of these institutions get better? No. Did the journalism at the Times and the Post and the Atlantic improve?
And I can agree, it all got worse. Like the BLM style writing is fucking horrible. That type of woke writing is fucking awful. And the standard of writing at all the major publications really went down.
Were there sparkling, important, kind of seismic essays that emerged in this 10-year period?
Nope. I mean, the most famous one I could think of was that Trump is gaslighting America, that Lauren Duca one. Like, I can't think of many.
Did entertainment get better? Did Hollywood produce better movies? Did it have new auteurs that are coming onto the scene with their kind of earth-shaking films?
Nope.
Did television shows on net, with this great proliferation of technologies, really an expansion of the industry as a whole, did the quality improve? Is it the golden age of entertainment?
And I was worried because I'm like, fuck, I'm agreeing with Christopher Rufo and this racist asshole. But he ends up coming through and being Christopher Rufo. So just keep
and
watching.
you can do the same thing for novels as these publishing houses changed. As the great American novel entered a period of revival and a return to the greatness of, let's say, 100 years ago. This is your domain.
I mean, the answer
tell
is
me the answer.
absolutely not.
Tell me
No,
the answer.
The answer is absolutely not.
I just got this. This is funny. I'm gonna leave it on the screen because it's pretty funny. Very well played.
This isn't even debatable. It is self-evidently the case that everything has gotten worse that these institutions were responsible for producing. And you can measure this along like any metric you want. You can measure this sort of commercially in terms of the sort of financial power of these institutions. You can measure this along questions of influence. Just ask yourself: does mainstream media, does mainstream journalism, does American sort of literature, prestige literature, does Hollywood command more influence in the culture?
They're all right.
No, the answer is absolutely not. Those things are dying, dead, in decline. What?
See, and that's an example of why I'm saying like things are so bad that you could even morons like this can be good. And because at the time I was so starved for anybody calling out what I saw was like this obvious decline in quality and common sense, and none of the respectable mainstream places will call out that this stuff sucks, even if it is for a good cause, supposedly. It sucks. Like, I never went as far as Christopher Rufo because I can't stand this guy, but I tolerated like some of these people, and they would make some trenchant observations. But look at this, because now this is after Trump won the second time and DEI is gutted. That's when this video is from. This video is very recent. So this is after they won. So keep watching.
Is doing better. Well, all the places that these white men fled to. Okay.
So now he's making a case for this new world that the white men who were exiled are going to make, and all the great things that the white men were doing while the minorities and the women and the queers were fucking up mainstream society through DEI. Here's what his idea of good society, good contribution, good art is
doing better. Well, all the places that these white men fled to, okay, crypto, the frontiers of AI and tech, where they could.
Crypto, AI, and tech. That's what we lost through DEI. This is his vision of the great world that white men like him are gonna make. This guy's a fucking hack. And they didn't have to actually start articulating a vision when there was just woke slop for 10 years straight. They could just spend all day, all night, hours on end, just railing against easy targets, just terrible, crappy stuff. But, they won. They've destroyed DEI. They've destroyed the trans. They've destroyed Me Too. They destroyed everything. They're in the driver's seat now. And now they've got to pull out a map and decide where we're going to go. And they don't understand how to drive either. We're finding out. They were backseat drivers this whole time. And now we're hearing their vision, and it's like, holy shit.
Find places to still ply their talents. Speedrunning, okay? We've seen tremendous advancements in the realm of speedrunning.
Tremendous advancements in this realm of speedrunning. I didn't know what speedrunning was. Maybe some of you do, but he's going to describe it.
You'd be surprised, like shocked. It is amazing what these men have achieved in the realm of like cutting off, frames, like down to 3 frames to perfect like taskbot runs for Super Mario Brothers. Okay, like
what is speedrunning? I don't even know what that means.
Okay. This is like where you take a video game and you're trying to play it as fast as possible, and you're manipulating like the internal mechanics of the game in order to like perform these frame perfect jumps and like clip into blocks.
I know that even Chris Rufo doesn't know what it is. You gotta look at his face when he's
and manipulate subpixels so you can cut off like a 100th of a second from your speed run. I mean,
Rufo's trying to like laugh and keep the game up, but deep down he knows like what oh my god, what an idiot.
It's really incredible. Seriously, like go look up world record breaking speed runs to see what these talented.
So this is what happened through DEI. While they were messing up Hollywood and messing up the New York Times or whatever, they missed out on the contribution of crypto, AI, and speed running. It's kind of ridiculous because do they understand how tech companies work? Like the innovations with AI are coming from white men. Like white men own the companies. China and India, those people are the prize AI workers and innovators. That's why right now, Sam Altman and Jensen Huang were both saying that China's really ahead of the curve right now, and they're going to eat our lunch. And like they really think it's just a room of white men making AI. It's fucking first off, I don't think it's anything to be like that proud of. But even if it was, like, they don't want to hire white guys to work on that stuff.
White men have been up to over the last decade. I wish I were kidding. I wish this was like a joke. It's not a joke, okay? And so I really it's like tragic. Now I want to just say, okay, so what happens to these institutions? I think we just let them, they sort of have to die.
They have to die. So then the speedrunners and crypto bros and the handful of white people working AI can set everything right. They can come back to Hollywood and New York Times. And like, can you imagine what this guy would put in the New York Times if he was the editor? What kind of utter drivel?
Have to believe in a silver lining here. I have to remain optimistic out of sort of psychological necessity. I try to be a realist. I try to be clear-eyed, but I have to tell myself that something good has to come.
That's a great point too.
There has to be some reason this is happening.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. That's a fucking great point. I was so stuck on the AI one. I missed that. That's even like a better point. Thank you. Yeah, like none of this makes any fucking sense. Like they're fucking idiots. And it's funny, the hatred of wokeness gave these people their audience, and without woke people to rail against, I think that's why all these people's audiences are going down, because you're starting to see what idiots they are when they have to formulate their own vision. So I think no matter who wins, we're not going back to the old days of great art, because the great art of the past had liberals making it and had conservatives making it, at least conservatives by today's standards, you know. It was mostly liberal, but there were conservatives in there too who were capable of making great art. And I think no matter who wins a culture war, we're just gonna get a different type of crap.
Some way to make it better. And the answer I come up with, my sort of plan trusting, has pushed me in the direction that these institutions actually needed to decline. They were already potentially in a sort of moment of secular decline anyway, and that this has freed a bunch of talent to go do other things. And what we're going to see, and it's going to take a long time, and it's going to take some amount of luck, but there's something like a conservation of.
These people need to be underdogs. They're too untalented to work as overdogs. I'm still not sure who's hackier, the Tumblr wokes or these guys, but it's gonna be tough to say. I think these guys really could be worse. I didn't think it was possible, but I think we're gonna see days where we're gonna wish for She-Hulk.
The law of conservation of energy here, where there's a law of conservation of talent or like creative energy. These people might have done something very important in the realm of like writing novels, or they might have made a great movie or a TV show or a great piece of art that should be hanging in a museum somewhere. And we've lost.
But he hasn't. But who were what was stopping the white men who were driven out of, like, he would impress me if he said, hey, here's some white conservative men in the small publishing who made their own conservative publishers, who wrote great novels, who did great fan-made movies, you know, because that does happen. There are small conservative presses. Movies might be a little harder because those are expensive, but Daily Wire and those places have been making movies. It has happened. And what did he come up with? He came up with speed running and whatever. He doesn't care about art. He doesn't care about art, or deep down he knows what the conservatives have been doing so far has been bad. But I don't think he has any intellectual curiosity. He probably doesn't. I'm sure this guy doesn't read. I'm sure if he reads, it's probably just anti-woke culture war bullshit.
Our generation's, great novelist or something, and that is tragic. But I do believe that creative energy goes somewhere. It doesn't just disappear from the world. And how it becomes manifest is a sort of open question. And but it finds its way. It finds its way through. It finds its way through all of these forces that are militating against it. And it might sort of look perverse, and it's not totally polished. But I do believe these people and these impulses are going to find their way towards something productive. And this is what's going to arise out of this moment. And they're
going to find something productive. They could have been doing something productive the past 10 years. they've been doing their own thing. They've been self-publishing. They've been doing all this stuff. Like, I have no idea. Is this a thing? I know like there's a lot of Asian video game players. I didn't know that a lot of speedrunners are trans. I mean, I hope that's true because that'll just be fucking funny. They'll just make this even stupider. Let me see what the commenters are saying. Oh my god! Of course, the commenters are buying into this bullshit. I can't. Nobody's calling out how stupid. Is this guy calling out how stupid it is? He's not calling it as a stupid argument. He's saying that his argument was good and is proof of why society is screwed. Oh my god, are these people real? Oh, I wish I didn't look at this. Oh, these people are.
We might have to wait 20 years to
ridiculous.
look back and say, oh, that's where that all went. That's this new thing that arose out of the.
That's what I'm kind of, in a weird way, I'm kind of glad they're in control now, because as long as the wokes were in control, they were able to create this weird headcanon fan fiction of all the great things they would be doing. Now they're in charge, and there's nothing good on deck from these people. I was gonna jump ahead. This guy's an idiot. So
End of Hollywood.
So this is Hollywood is over, admits it's over. Legendary writer says the entire industry is cooked. First off, you gotta see who the legendary writer is. So this is a channel called WDW Pro, and they were like one of the better anti-woke channels. They were great at dissecting everything wrong with Kathleen Kennedy and Star Wars and all this stuff. And now that, at least for now, their side has won the culture war. They've been gloating, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So they're celebrating AI, and this is what I mean about these. They don't care about people, right? The same way that the liberals only like human artists because they see the artist as themselves. Like it's some guy with some guy with a soy face, with a beard and then Cheetos in it, and some girl with blue hair and a nose ring and whatever. Like these writers look like their milieu. They look like they're from Portland, Oakland, San Francisco, Brooklyn, and they kind of like them for that. These people hate the writers for the same reason. So, the liberal woke people, they don't want AI to take over, not because the stuff that their crowd was doing was so much better quality wise, but because they want to protect their spirit animals, their crowd, their aspirational figures, and they want to eventually join them in Hollywood. Whereas these guys, they're cheering for AI, not because it's great, but because they hate those people, and they don't even pretend to care about art. So they actually agree with, they're doing the same thing that the other group is doing, which is that they've made Hollywood into a giant SJW. The liberal people have made Hollywood into a giant SJW. The Hollywood creative process is to a giant SJW that they must protect. And these people have reduced Hollywood to a giant SJW that they must take down, even though at the end of the day, Hollywood is just as corporate as hell. They just pander to whoever they have to pander to. Like, I don't think Hollywood as a corporate machine was deeply ideological. They just pandered to deeply ideological people because they thought they found an audience that would pay money. It turns out they didn't.
Wood is here, or at least it's so near that it might arrive before the end of 2026. We'll explain why and show you that some celebrities are out of their minds, cluelessly stumbling, whistling into their own graveyard, and the industry will never be the same as AI.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't think you were joking. I did take you seriously. I just didn't know anything about it. But people are someone else thought you were joking. Yeah, but people people confirmed that there are a lot of trans speedrunners. I find that so funny. Thank you for
It's
that.
over entertainment. Folks and friends, it's a fantastic day to begin yet again explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we do with a passion, a zeal that even the Holly weirds can feel. They can't replicate it though, never, not for a single second. And folks, you're never second here. You're a first among us. So if you wouldn't mind.
This is one of the AI videos that was running around of people rewriting Breaking Bad scenes.
Click the like button, drop a comment down below, and
I'm sorry, let me jump forward.
I have said in the past that this is the final year that you're going to go watch Toy Story or any of these other animated movies, and you can't just make that at home. And I've also said that by the end of the year, you're going to see theatrical level releases made by AI, and probably better than what Hollywood makes. And I know some of you out there are deeply worried about that. Some of you are very excited about it, and some of you out.
I do think some of this AI stuff might be better than a lot of Hollywood stuff, but it's still gonna fucking suck. It's just gonna suck in a different way.
They are both at the same time. I join you in the latter club. I have major concerns, and I also am excited about the democratization of entertainment and it being stripped away from Hollywood.
Yeah, democratization of entertainment and stripped away from Hollywood. So it's just like this kind of grievance thing.
But is now accepting the fact they're done this.
And it's kind of funny because that's what that kind of punk rock type of liberal type of old school communist, used to say that, back in the whether it was like, the communist writers in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, or the hippies in the 60s and 70s, or the punk rockers in the 80s or whatever. There was always this talk of, we're going to take the power away from Hollywood and democratize it. Whereas the Hollywood establishment was very conservative and stodgy, and now we've got this thing where Hollywood is seen as a bunch of hippies, and the conservatives are the ones who think they're going to like culture jam and democratize and everything, but they don't even care. At least the people that used to want to democratize it, the liberals used to want to democratize it, used to make great art, and even the conservatives who were in charge of Hollywood, like they made great art too. We just had like terrible politics, but now it's like the liberals are in charge of Hollywood. The so-called alternative crowd, at least the alternative aesthetics, in charge of Hollywood, and they're making crap. And the conservatives now want to tear down Hollywood and democratize, and they just want to make their own crap. It's just a race to the bottom.
Here. And I cannot overemphasize this. I cannot make this a bigger moment in history. I need to punctuate it somehow so that it gets into the minds of those who say, never going to happen, bro. Hollywood's done. And that's what we're going to be covering over the next 24 months. It's over. That Park Place says this. Marvel writer reacts as Tom Cruise versus Brad Pitt AI fight.
So this Marvel writer is the legendary writer.
Signals major leap in AI filmmaking, says it's likely over for us. Huge writer, legendary writer, is saying, it's done. It's over. Dom Lucra, I believe is his name, has this. Breaking: Hollywood has officially started panicking after Deadpool and Wolverine writer Rhett Reese reacted to viral AI video of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
Now, of course, a Deadpool and Wolverine writer is going to say it's over for us, because in his case, us is creators of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, that is an AI ass movie. Like, that movie is, I didn't watch it. Like, I haven't watched a Marvel movie in years. I try to make a pledge to watch less content. But from what I saw, there's like so many Easter eggs, and everyone who was talking about the movie and loved it was talking about, oh, there was this classic Wolverine, there was that Wolverine, there was that Deadpool, and then they brought back Blade, and they brought back this, and member berries, and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, and AI can totally make something that is a human AI movie. That's just summarizing and slapping together existing things in new combinations. There's not an original thought in that thing, so these people, they don't really care about the craft. They're fine. They just hate the idea of these people's politics and their identity, and they're fine with these people being replaced by AI, and then in their dream, the AI will be doing anti-woke stuff. The AI will be punching a blue-haired feminist, and kicking this effeminate-looking male protester with a man bun. You know, Captain America be throwing a shield at protesters or something. That's their big dream.
Says, I hate to say it, it's likely over for us. I'm going to play this for you folks, and I'm going to play some more of these. You'll notice we have the AI generated watermark at the bottom right. YouTube, we're not trying to present this as real. This is for educational purposes.
I saw this movie over the weekend as well, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I couldn't tell if it was that good or things have been so bad lately, you know, but it was definitely one of the better new movies that I've seen. And I was really wondering that. I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, was this that good, or is just new movies been that bad that the bar is lower? But I mean, it was a straightforward, enjoyable movie. I can't complain about it.
This is coming out of the latest video gen systems. One of the things that's been said as well, you know, you can't do fighting, you can't do whatever. That's going away. Here's the latest.
Now, when you watch this thing, and the fact that the Hollywood creator thinks this is so high level really shows the kind of hackery we have going on in Hollywood. Like, I thought it was going to be that the Hollywood producer was going to say, oh my God, this is fucking terrible. But no, the Hollywood producer is like, the Hollywood creator is like, oh my God, I'm so threatened by this, which is really sad. This is what I'm saying. Like, I know people are saying that All American Fight choreography is this bad now, but I don't know. I think this is extra bad. This looks like Cinemax level bad. I don't know. I mean, I know American Fight choreography has been pretty bad ever since everyone started trying to do quick cuts like Jason Bourne. But quick cuts, I think, are even better than this. At least with a quick cut, the director knows, wow, if I let these people fight, it's gonna look bad. Whereas this is like, letting this play like this is, I think, way worse than the modern quick cut fighting we have. Because that means that someone thinks this looks great.
Now, none of that is real. Not a bit of that is real, but it's getting to the point where you got to say, However, the lesser intelligent of those around us, aka Simu Liu, who is a perennial favorite of those who...
Now, for some reason, anti-woke people really hate Simu Liu. Like, they have such a hard-on for him. And, like, Simu Liu is, like, he has, like, golden retriever energy to me. Like he occasionally says, like, some half-ass woke stuff, but he's not, like, some kind of shrill, strident justice warrior. Like, the way they hate him is so funny, and they always try to pretend that Shang-Chi was a financial flop, which it wasn't. Like, you might argue if it was a good movie or not. I think the movie had a lot of flaws, but for the COVID era, when it came out, it was profitable and it made good money, you know. Regardless of what we think was good or not, but they always try to act. They always act like he's, like, homeless. They always talk about how his career's doing bad. The guy's in, like, a ton of movies. He was in Barbie and was, like, a scene stealer. And it's like, when I see him talk about him, I went over to his IMDb because I'm like, wait, is he doing bad? And that's like 6 things coming, 6 A-list projects in the works coming, and he just hosts Saturday Night Live. But yeah, they hate him, and they create this headcanon where he's like constantly failing. It's very weird.
Have no neurons working. Real moron he.
A real moron he. And what is he wrong about here? Like, I will say, I don't like a lot of Marvel movies, but Shang-Chi had way better fight choreography than this, and he was the one who did the fight choreography. So what is being a moron about? He's not talking about something he's unqualified to talk about. He was in a martial arts movie. They don't actually say what he said that's so moronic. You're supposed to know it's moronic because it's Simu Liu, and you're presumably a watcher of Chud channels. So they don't have to explain to you what apparently his big moronic. What's so moronic about his take here?
Lou of Marvel Status says, LOL, anyone who has ever watched a martial arts movie knows this is absolute dog crap. Now, Simu Liu is a full-blown idiot. And here's why. Do you all remember Will Smith eating the spaghetti 3 years ago? And do you know how much it's progressed? Okay.
They say he's still eating spaghetti to this day.
To this day. You got me. If it's this good, folks, in 2 months, it'll look, you just can't. It's speeding up. It's getting better and better and better, okay? How much better is it getting? And these are the latest things that just came out. This C-Dance thing.
Real quick, I deleted a comment by known as GM because you spoiled the movie Send Help. And I don't think everyone, watching this or looking at the chat has seen that movie. So yeah, please don't spoil the movie because you just mentioned a major twist.
It's here. That's just come out. It's one of two. There's also Kling 3. And Sora's going to release a new version. And
It's just so sad how excited they are by this soulless crap. They've been so corrupted by their hatred of the wokes that they actually have decided they prefer and are championing this world. Like, talk about short-sighted.
That Gemini is going to release a new version. Take a look.
Like, what are their channels going to be going forward?
Single prompt. Shampoo commercial. Here we go. None of this is real, YouTube, and we're admitting it.
Strength in every drop.
Now, I will admit that does look real, but like, why would you be happy about this?
Shine that lasts.
Like who's being hurt? Who are you punishing with the shampoo commercial? Like, who do you imagine the actress who's getting replaced is? Do you think she's some kind of raging feminist online, or like it's just kind of weird? Like, I don't know what they want.
Okay, single prompt. It's just doing whatever.
I mean, there's conservatives who act as well, believe it or not.
Let's go again. Says, we are genuinely cooked. I'm one of the most up-to-date people on earth when it comes to AI. This from ChatGPT 21, Chris. But I will admit I was sort of mindlessly scrolling and I came across this video. I didn't even think it was AI. Then I realized this never happened in Breaking Bad. YouTube, we know this is not real. We're admitting this is not real. Educational purposes, here you go.
Hey, sir, you can't be back here.
Jonas, I told you to censor these things. What are you doing, man? Get your finger on the button.
I wasn't sent this. It's not going to work. Like, okay, sure. We've never had a continuity error in a Hollywood film.
Yes. So check it out. The same way that woke people used to hand wave away any of the times you pointed out how crappy like their movies were, they'd be like, "Oh, you're thinking too hard," or "That's not a big deal," or "That's not a plot hole," or "Why do you care?" or "You're gatekeeping," movies by caring too much, or you're being, whatever. They would be very anti-intellectual. These guys are doing the same thing for AI. Like, check it out.
Did the door open on its own? That's the only complaint I've seen.
Oh, here we go. Here we go again.
Okay, so one of the guys pointed out, did the door open on its own? And if you look, check it out. The door opened with no human being, right? And then check out what this guy says.
Whoa. Jonas, I told you to censor these things. What are you doing? Lauren, I want to start with you. This, I said this was going to happen by the end of the year. We are at the cusp of it happening at the beginning of the year. We are in February. I think Hollywood's done. I think that anybody can make anything they want by December. And for better or worse, that's where entertainment is going. I don't know what it means for actors. I have said in the past, and I still believe it, that live performances will become the premium now. You go to your local theater, you go to Broadway, that'll be where the money is.
Okay, but those, I watch a lot of theater. If you think the genre movie space is full of woke people, theater is woke as hell as well. So what is people going to do then? They're going to start crying for AI, humanoid robots by Elon Musk to play the live shows?
But it's over for Hollywood, in my opinion. Where am I wrong, Lauren? What in the world would save the traditional studio entertainment system now?
Well, I agree with you that the action's getting better, and obviously fight choreography is getting better. I think where things still look unnatural is when you're cutting between shots. A lot of that is because you still have a limited time frame that you can make for the video, and so you've got to somehow blend that together. But even that's getting better, and as that improves, and as the voice simulation and lip sync gets better, I think you're right. And that's when the legal system is going to have to start getting involved and making sure that we have a way to distinguish between what's real and not. Because
what's our timeline, Lauren?
Oh, man,
how fast is this going to happen?
Oh God, I want to find the part where the guy's making excuses for. I skipped too far ahead. Hold on.
Obviously, fight choreography is getting better. I think where things still look unnatural is when you're cutting between.
We've never had a continuity.
Here it is.
Anybody being complaint I've seen.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Get your finger on the button.
I wasn't sent this beforehand. By the way, did the door open on its own? That's the only complaint I've seen.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
So he pointed out that the door opened on its own. And look what this guy says. Oh, here we go. Listen to him.
Pointed out. Oh, the door opened without anybody being apparent to open the door. Therefore, it's not going to work. Like, okay, sure. We've never had a continuity error in a Hollywood film before.
Yeah, so not making an excuse for continuity error. These people, any continuity error, every little thing that a woke show did wrong, they would go on about it for hours. And now suddenly is they're like, oh, continuity error. Who cares about that? Oh, duh. Like, oh wow, you actually want things to be well done. Like, and that was the kind of stuff that the woke people used to say. They used to like, if you caught them doing something low quality, they would just try to say, oh, it's just a stupid superhero movie. Like what do you care? Why are you taking it so seriously? Oh, it's just a movie about space wizards for kids. You know what they say about Star Wars.
Have we?
Never. Lauren, I want to start with you. This, I said this was going to.
Yeah. So yeah, these guys are. I mean, you're really starting to see. There's no salvation. I don't know. The audience is cooked. The wokes are cooked. The anti-wokes are cooked. I don't really know where good art is, how it's going to thrive, who's going to survive, how it's going to survive. I don't know. Send Help was, a pretty good movie, but movies like Send Help used to be just a regular movie. You would get a movie that good every month, and now it's like aspirational. Yeah, but these people won't care. This is true, but these people will not care. So I'm gonna jump to the last video, and then we're done. We're done for the night, because I think this thing just gets more and more insufferable and dumber the more you go through it. I don't want to subject you to it, but yeah, but these people used to do all these panels tearing down woke stuff, and now they're celebrating this nonsense.
Welcome back to Marcus at Work Media. So now that Baby King.
No, this is the wrong video. Did I put the wrong? A different video should have been next. I might have messed up. Hold on 1 second. Okay, give me a second. I'll get the right video loaded. It'll just take a second. Oh, it should be in the description for this video. I'll get it from there. So this is the last one. And it's about something that somebody mentioned in the chat earlier, which is nope, that's not it either. Hold on. Man, I messed up. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see if we can find it. Okay, found it. So this is something called pop culture crisis. And this is another one of those, like, whole ecosystems and personalities and channels and everything were created by the wokes. Like, whole careers were made. There's probably dozens to hundreds of people who made six-figure plus annual salaries off of the shit world that wokes made, and probably made more money than the actual wokes. Like, that's one thing I hate the most about them. They were so incompetent and insufferable that they create like we wouldn't know who any of these people were if it wasn't for them. And I think in a weird way, them losing and being exiled so badly is actually going to ruin these people, because you're going to see how dumb and hacky and clueless these people are. So these people were always, it's called pop culture crisis, and they were always attacking woke stuff, and the stuff, and like, as usual, the stuff that they were talking about was legitimately bad. And it's not hard looking like a genius to call it out as bad, but now, again, we're in the post-Trump 2.0 era. DEI is gone. Woke Hollywood's in shambles. They're on the defensive. They're struggling. And these guys are in control of the culture right now, for better or worse. So they're going to review the new Daily Wire fantasy show, like their answer to Game of Thrones. Like, they bought the rights to a popular fantasy series, and they're going to try to make their own Game of Thrones. And it's crazy to watch them try to pretend that this looks good. They have trashed way better looking woke stuff than this.
So the wait is finally over for the Pendragon Cycle trailer. Daily Wire dropped it just last night. And this has been long awaited. I think they've delayed the release for a while, as it's still been in development. And finally it's done. And I think they said it's scheduled for release early Christmas Day for their all access members, but it's out publicly available in January 2026.
So that should have passed already. So has anybody watched it? I haven't seen. Has anyone seen people like react to the finished product? Because I don't really follow these spaces anymore, so I don't know. Please let me know if you know.
Here is Jeremy Boring's caption just before we react to the trailer. As a teenager, Stephen Lawhead's The Pendragon Cycle reshaped my understanding of faith, courage, and purpose. It rejected the shallow, nice Christianity of my youth and revealed a kind of Christian whose faith was forged in blood and sacrifice. A world where the battle for king and country was inseparable from the battle for Christ and his kingdom. That story changed me, and I've spent years bringing it to life for the screen. This is The Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, a new scripted series from Daily Wire and Bonfire Legend, adapted from Lawhead's extraordinary novels. The cast and crew bled to make it. It is without...
So basically, this is like a Christian Game of Thrones. So basically, this is supposed to be good because now it panders to right-wing traditional values as opposed to all the sex, nudity, and nihilism of Game of Thrones, which a lot of these people saw as like leftist woke corruption of the fantasy novel.
Without question, the largest and most ambitious production ever undertaken by a conservative new media company. It is also the most masculine, muscular work of Christian art since Braveheart, and it begins with a sword. So let's take a look.
It's supposed to be good because it's masculine. Like everything that's supposed to be good about it is based on how it panders to traditional values, not like amazing writing, sharp satire, great fight choreography or anything. It's like it's masculine, it's Christian, it's right wing.
Oh, here, it's James. Yeah. Over there. Here we go.
So look at this thing.
This land is in a welter of...
I mean, this looks like an AI landscape itself. It looks like AI slop. This is a perfect example of... I wouldn't be surprised if they used AI for this.
Confusion. There are more kings than sheep, more princes than crows on a battlefield, all seeking to snatch what they can, when they can, without a care for who suffers. Until this island is ruled by one who wields both justice and...
This looks just generic as hell. This looks like mid-range CW slop. It's lit flat and terrible. It has that HD motion capture look that Netflix, not Netflix stuff looks terrible. Like this is just mid-range Netflix stuff that these people claim to hate when it's woke.
And mercy, there will be no peace.
And the other thing is, as a trailer, there's nothing really to grab you here. Like I can't tell what the story is about, or it just seems like a bunch of generic fantasy movie scenes that could be from anywhere.
For real.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's back it up a second. This guy knows what Twitter is. This guy has seen a cell phone. Like that face just looks like a modern guy. Like he just his eyes have seen porn. Like I don't know. His face is very of this time.
Look at them. Boys playing the game of kings. What do you say? they have the Merlin with them. The Merlin.
Okay, what makes this meaningfully different than any so-called liberal mainstream slop? Outside of the fact that it just looks cheaper and worse.
Died long before you and I were born. I've seen what you can do.
They put Brett Cooper in there.
This is where it begins.
Yeah, the guy's that's a modern face too. You know what it looks like? It looks like one of those porn parodies. Like this looks like a porn parody of Game of Thrones, except it's the opposite because it's Christian. It's like it's a deport. It's like a deport parody.
Wow, that's a really well edited trailer. Like the high.
Oh God, stop! This woman has been so harsh on so many better things, and when I say better things, things that were still crappy, but better than this. So, but legitimately crappy stuff to the point that I knows that she knows that this is crappy, or at best mid.
Highest level of production value I've seen.
Well,
from...
so this was made, Bonfire Legend is Dallas Sonnier. He made Bone Tomahawk. He's a very accomplished movie producer. Production value was never something that I was concerned about for this.
Certainly.
If you want to, if I want
to pretend this is great production value, again, like the things I've seen these people attack is so okay.
To correlate it back, I know people are making the comparison to Game of Thrones, but if you get a chance, if you never saw the series, go back and rewatch the trailers for the show Marco Polo that was on Netflix back in like 2014. It was supposed to be like their response to Game of Thrones back when Netflix first started dumping like a bunch of money into the making their own stuff rather than just licensing their content out. It felt closer to that than say a Game of Thrones. If you were looking for a comparison,
before we give a
but I don't think it's a good thing to compare it to a Netflix show. I mean, I haven't seen Marco Polo. Maybe back then Netflix did a better job, but I mean, I was thinking the same thing. This looks like a Netflix show, but not as a good thing.
Reactions. I wanted to read another statement that Jeremy Boring gave to The Hollywood Reporter. He said that the novels by Lawhead present a visceral, masculine Christianity in a world of conflict and mystery. It isn't saccharine or clean. In short, it is very much like our world. I'm so happy to share our adaptation and the work of our remarkable cast.
So it's good because it's masculine. And don't get me wrong, like I hate a lot of things where you're supposed to like it just because it's feminist, but this is what I mean by these people are the same thing in reverse. Like they're doing for masculinity what a lot of woke creators do for femininity, where they just want to beat you over the head with how it celebrates women. Like just celebrating men or women isn't the basis for making anything. As far as art goes, like what are your actual themes? What are you trying to say?
Crew with the Daily Wire audience. I hope he means people outside of the Daily Wire audience as well. That cast includes Tom Sharp starring as Merlin, and they also list Rose Reed, James Arden, Finney Cassidy, Miles.
Yes. I don't believe them. Like they're having trouble faking it. It's so transparent that they feel obligated to pretend that this is good. Someone said Marco Polo was good and doesn't look like a Netflix show. So did it look like this, or are they being too nice? Because if Marco Polo looked good, then I'm assuming that it looked better than this, because this didn't look good to me.
Brett Cooper, Alex Lawrence Phillips, Daniel Fathers, and Emery Franklin.
Yeah. I did notice that there was only one shot of Brett Cooper in there.
Very short. I thought that she was a pretty major speaking role in the series, given the amount of time she spent in Hungary while they were filming.
Yeah, they like built her a studio.
So I was
over there
expecting to see
record.
like at least one part of her speaking in the trailer.
I'm assuming that that's I can't speak to it, but that may be a political decision on their part there. Seamus, I saw you flinch a couple of times.
Yeah, so initially I was very impressed. The production value is very
Yeah, this is great. He likes the production value and all that stuff. Listen to what he doesn't like. He's the one person that's willing to speak out against this. But look at his reason for why he doesn't like it.
clearly high, and it's obvious that they're trying to make something that can compete with mainstream Hollywood. I have no idea why there needed to be a half-naked woman prancing around in her underwear. I have no idea why there needed to be a scene of two actors making out. I think that conservatives can't win the culture war without making culture, and our culture can't feature the devil's iconography. We can't use the tools that have been used against us to subjugate us in our own media.
The master's
Porn has
tools.
been used as a tool for political control. We are weaponizing people's lust to make them complacent, and the conservative movement cannot engage in that tactic to gain a modern audience, because if we do so, we've already lost. We've
Look at
become the
her
left.
face.
This would be like if 50 years from now, someone goes, I'm making entertaining content, but of course we have to put trans kids in it, and it's still conservative. Like, we can't just be progressives who drive the speed limit.
Well,
Okay.
obviously the comparisons to Game of Thrones are going to come about, and that would happen regardless of whether they included nudity or intimacy scenes, whatever you want to call them, in the show. But that was such a short clip of that scene that they showed in the trailer. I couldn't tell, like, were they clothed?
See, like, she doesn't even know what to, like, they don't know what to talk about without woke stuff to bash. like you need to see is how crazy they are. Like, she doesn't know what to do. Like, this girl can't stop talking when they're bashing something woke. She's snarky and always has all these smug things to say. And it's funny watching her flail here because she doesn't know what to do with the content that she just looked at and having to pretend to like it. And now her clearly unhinged co-host, who is fixated on, you know, a kissing scene, and she's got to like act like this is serious conversation, you know? She can't just snark her way through this, because now you have to actually champion something. And your side is just full of people who are morons for the right in the same way these other people were morons for the left.
In that scene where they were making out,
Yes.
they were
I thought
clothed.
it looked like they were nude.
I couldn't tell. They were wearing clothes?
Yes.
And
So
someone was saying,
now they're
well,
gonna
well,
argue
maybe they're
over
married.
this,
Yeah, I
over-
don't need
over-
to see married people nude on screen.
Obviously,
That's the point.
the Game of Thrones stuff is like, it's incest, it's full-on porn in Game of Thrones. It's like as raunchy.
So now she's got defended by trying to say how much worse Game of Thrones was, because no, you got to defend this.
As humanly possible for TV. And that was kind of new for the time period when Game of Thrones came out, because we were coming off of going from network television to streaming shows. They weren't.
Okay, no, it does look like they're, at least he is not wearing clothes.
Well, he's like,
This city you're litigating how much clothes are on the people. None of this is about art. None of this is about. The end of you still have any idea what this thing's even about? It's 7 minutes long, and the most discussion we've had is masculine, is Christian, and what level of skin was showing. And let's look at what he's crying about. This is not like the craziest outfit, and it's just a short part of the thing. Like, does she want to wear a burqa or something? Like, you know, it's kind of crazy. She's not really that naked. And then like a married couple was kissing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm watching old stuff for the foreseeable future. I'm not very excited about what's coming out. Every now and then I got a pleasant surprise, like Send Help. I thought it was a good movie. Watch it in the movie theater. People always say I don't like anything. I will say I like that movie. I enjoyed it. And yeah. I mean, I went in there thinking I wasn't gonna like it too. So keep that in mind. Like, this wasn't even a movie I came in predisposed to like. Like, I came in blind. I didn't know what the movie was about. I watched the first couple of minutes and I was like, oh God, I could tell what this is gonna be. And I was wrong. It was it's not a mind-blowing piece of art that's gonna break the mold, but it's solidly well done entertainment that Hollywood used to do all the time and take for granted. So yeah. That's funny. The title is translated to Brain Deep Heavenly Tribulation. That's weird. That's weird. Yeah, it doesn't describe the movie at all. That's bizarre. Yeah, but yeah, I've been watching some great old movies, and I've been enjoying them, and I'm gonna keep watching more. But every now and then I see a new one like Send Help that, you know, gives me hope. The ones that everyone's been raving about, like, you know, One Battle After Another or Sinners, like both of them kind of underwhelmed me. Like One Battle After Another I thought was just bad. The Sinners I just thought was too derivative. It was too much like Dusk Till Dawn, and it was just okay, but it just wasn't that great to me. And I didn't like the ancestor scene. I thought the ancestor scene was stupid when they were dancing. I laughed out loud. I didn't like it. I mean, it's better than one battle after another though. But Sudden Help was the first mainstream movie that I thought, wow, this entertained me. It was a solid movie, and I'm glad I watched it. Yeah. So anyway, thanks again. Appreciate y'all. Everyone, be good. Take care. Wuthering Heights, maybe, but I heard Emerald Fennell directs it, and I don't trust her. I think she did that Ripley ripoff. I forgot what it's called, and she did A Promising Young Woman or whatever. I'm not crazy about her stuff. All right, everyone, be good, and remember, Mondays and Thursdays at 7 we will be here doing reactions, but also like check out the podcast. Go to champagnesharks.com or patreon.com/champagnesharks. Be good to each other and take care.